we got reveals that we finally wanted. We got another Sig fight. We got bleeding a Kyber crystal in live action for the first time, which we'll get into. Very sick.
The boys finale.
Yeah. Another cracking finale.
Best episode of the series by a mile.
Yeah.
This tone shift in this series, they made it very clear that, we know this isn't our best series. And that is purely because we were setting everything up for the final season.
Yeah.
What is the best controller ever? So we was doing some like mini tier lists in our Discord chat. Obviously there were some people making jokes, such as yourself. What do you genuinely think is, how many should we do? The best controller and then like a top 5. Maybe.
360 it's not even close. There are other good controllers. The 360 is the greatest controller of all time for a number of reasons. Hello, and welcome to episode 123 of Cutscene Combos. We have got a monster episode for you this week. We have got a character profile on Mother's Milk, the Enforcer from The Boys. We've got the Acolyte Finale. We've got The Boys Season 4 Finale. Josh is back with some more gaming news this month. And we've got Emmy Nominations.
Ooh.
And the Nerd News Network is back as always. It's an absolute monster episode, so grab some popcorn and let's get started. But before that, Horizontal, how's your week been, pal?
My week's
How's it been
alright. A lot of gaming. It's been a lot warmer this week, I feel.
Yeah, it's getting it's supposed to be warmer again tomorrow still.
Oh, this is British torture.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, pretty good week. I mean, last week I was talking about how I had a high of Rust and Great Wipe. This weekend's wipe did not go so well, and we were
crushing low.
It was just like things just weren't going right, and in that sort of game, it's brutal when you start to get a bit of momentum, and then it's just nope, we've lost it, and it's just like by Saturday we were like we're all three of us were just this has been shit. So we jumped off Rust and we have been trying out Once Human, which I would say is scratching the MMO itch that I'd forgot I hadn't had for a while. But it has its issues, and we'll see if it lasts. I'm cautious as we come up because of this wipe system they're doing. I have a feeling it might kill it, which, I mean, it's free to play, so I've not put any money into it. So, but yeah, it's one of them. We'll see how it goes. And then other than that, just extra fine.
For sure.
And watching D&D. Oh, I finally watched. I talked about it last week, I think, about we were getting the Critical Role episode. Brendan Lee Mulligan is such a fucking good DM. And it's like, it was just the episode 1 of a 3-part little special. It was 4 hours long. So good. It had 3 people from Critical Role. Laura Bailey, Taliesin, and oh my god, why am I? Marisha. No, not Marisha. Ashley Johnson, who's
cool
in Last of Us or whatever.
Yeah.
And then 3 other people that I didn't know, who all seem incredible.
Stunning.
Think they do voice acting work as well and stuff. Presume friends of Brennan and Critical Role and stuff.
In LA, you know a bunch of voice actors, get them on. And here's the thing, you might recognise one of their characters, but it doesn't mean you're going to know their face.
Yeah, true. But it is very cool, and Brennan's very good. So definitely a watch for the D&D fans out there.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
Good. Much the same. Also got back into D&D. Now that a lot of the people I watch playing Shadow of the Erd Tree have stopped, I'm back on watching D&D. So I'm getting towards the end of the 2nd season of Fantasy High on Dropout, which is stunning. Obviously, we're getting ready to run a one-shot soon with our friends, and then hopefully a campaign.
Soonish.
So I've got Jenna to agree to find it one of the shorter campaigns on Dropout. It's like 6 episodes. So we're going to watch the one with Hank Green, Metamopia or whatever it's called.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
And then if she enjoys that, we're going to watch Starstruck Odyssey together. Which is the same cast as...
Do you know what I think
Fantasy
she would
High.
actually like? The Misfits and Magics one.
Misfits and Magics.
Because
if she likes them, we'll just get onto all of them.
Misfits, if I remember correctly, the Misfits and Magic one is essentially a Harry Potter ripoff.
Ah, very interesting.
Which obviously,
yeah.
So maybe that's the one to really sell her. Yeah,
maybe. But yeah, so that'll be fun. But yeah, it's been a crazy week. I've got a week off, not next week, the week after, which
Nice.
I am very much looking forward to for a bit of downtime. Run away to Cardiff and just relax for a few days. So that'll be good. But let's waste not any more time and get into it with our character profile. Another boys' character profile this week. As we have now ended the 4th season of The Boys, I thought it'd be a good time to catch us up on some characters and how different they are in the comics. So this week we've got Mother's Milk. aka Mother's Milk, first appeared in The Boys #2 in October 2006. MM's mother worked at a factory which had previously been a Vought lab, where, as a result of being contaminated by V, she was also contaminated. This meant that both MM and his brother were exposed to V in the womb. This caused his brother to have horrible mental disabilities, and his own birth came with an unusual complication. For when his mother started weaning him off of breast milk as a child, he began becoming ill and weak, only for him to recover when he was once again receiving his mother's milk. This was because without his mother's milk, he begins to die, meaning even as an adult, to maintain his life force and his powers, he must breastfeed from his mother. His powers are relatively simple. He has super strength and durability. However, these powers only manifested while in the army, where as a boxer he accidentally decapitated an opponent due to his strength. However, instead of standing trial, he was released into the employment of the CIA to work on the secret ops team to deal with Soups, the boys. While his powers are useful, his main use is as second in command and loyal friend to Billy Butcher, and also as a top investigator, having learnt from his father. His father had begun an investigation into Vought after MM's brother, who was born with a disability as a result of V, also had powers that manifested, which caused him to rapidly expand and as a result crush his own skull. He managed to win a case against Vought, but he died during preparations for a second case due to the toll the stress was taking on him. Despite his close relationship with Butcher, when Butcher had finally eradicated Homelander and turned his attention to anyone else with V in their blood, not even MM was safe, when Butcher forced a grenade down his throat to severely injure him before suffocating him. MM's mother was later revealed to be trapped in MM's basement, having turned into a Cthulhuan-style creature that could only say, my boy, and when Huey discovered her there, she tried to nurse him as well. Safe to say, Mother's Milk in the comics is quite a large departure from the version we've seen in the show. Another big change was that Janine was also affected by Compound V. She, unfortunately, didn't seem to have any real powers, but aged faster.
Oh.
So despite being only 12, she appeared to be like late teens, early 20s. And her mother was a drug addict. Mother's Milk had to raise her himself. And then towards the end of the comic book, it was revealed at some point Janine's mother came back into her life and convinced her to do a pornographic film with her, despite being only like 13.
Oh.
So not ideal. When Butcher found out that this was distracting MM, Butcher went to where it was taking place, killed the producers and everyone, killed Janine's mother, and told Janine she better never talk to again.
Oh.
Yeah. So, very different.
Yeah, very different.
Very different. I think mostly better.
Yeah.
I do think with how big The Boys is, a crazy reveal in like season 4 or 5 that was drinking his mother's milk would have been crazy.
Yeah,
but
it would.
The Boys didn't lose that kind of what the fuck, because instead that trait kind of got moved over to Homelander having an obsession with milk.
Yeah. I was going to say that.
Which wasn't present in the comics.
Okay, so yeah, they just kept that in there, but put it on Homelander instead.
Yeah, exactly that. Right.
Cool.
The Acolyte finale.
Ooh, we ate.
Let's put it this way. I'm going to have more to say about the Boys finale than you are, I expect.
Yep.
You're going to have more to say about the Acolyte finale than me, I expect.
Yeah,
So
probably.
lead off, Horry. Lead us through this finale.
I mean, so many great things were. I want to say, for the most part, I think they stuck the landing with this season. I would agree. There is some things that were left unanswered, which would have been nice to get answers to, but at the same time, as long as we get a season 2, I can live with the fact that we have to wait. We got reveals that we finally wanted. We got another Sig fight. We got bleeding a Kyber crystal in live action for the first time, which we'll get into. Very sick. And not in the series he won't be, as we were told, but in the final few seconds we were revealed to see Yoda. So...
You mean adult Grogu?
I saw that meme. And then I saw someone quote tweet it and was like, "This is what's wrong with Disney fans." And I was like, "No way you've taken that seriously."
There's no way. I quote retweeted a tweet where I was just like, "Oh my god, adult Grogu," and I was waiting for some angry person to get my comment. It's like, you're not even a true Star Wars fan. But I didn't get any nibbles.
There is definitely people out there that still hate it on the show, even after like watching it week after week. I don't know what's wrong with those people. There's a certain Star Wars fan creator who everyone in the actual Star Wars community hates and wishes he would just disappear. Complaining after finally getting the stuff that he wanted to be shown because they didn't show it in the way that he wanted. So... yeah, fuck him. But overall, I thought it was a great episode. The fight between Sol and Kamir was another incredible choreography. I feel like we got some almost like moves, and the way it was shot with like the slow-mo felt like very kung fu film-esque fight.
Yes. It was so like 80s and 90s martial arts film coded in the best way imaginable.
100%. It added so much to it, which I thought made it a really cool fight. Something I don't know if you will have picked up on. Sol did the illegal technique of turning his lightsaber off and on.
I thought I noticed that. I saw that and I was like, is that all? So because it was off for a fair amount of time and he did something else.
No, not that. No? So there's that point where he put his lightsaber away and then he did the thing when the lightsabers were coming in. I'm on about at the end, the way he cut Kymir's lightsaber is he actually turns his lightsaber on and off.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, not that.
So it's funny because it's like that technique is technically illegal, but apparently there's a few cases in Legends where Jedi use it only when fighting Sith. So it's like, oh, it's okay if you're killing a Sith or doing something to a Sith with it.
Because it's really funny because like Sith in canon tend not to do it because they're like, I don't need to break like good faith to beat you. I'll kick your ass by following your rules. I don't care.
But no, the moment when he put his lightsaber away to then force push everything away, that was very badass for Sol to be like, yeah, I don't need my lightsaber. Screw you.
Also incredibly kung fu movie.
Yes, coded. Again. Which also, in the mirror to that, we were getting Osha and May having a bit of a fight, which again was very kung fu, just hand to hand and mirrored.
That fight scene, especially the Ocean May side of it, goes back to what I was talking about last week with how I adore fight scenes being wide angle so you can see everything, and then cutting in close to give something emphasis. That was a perfect example of what I like. It felt really clean. The choreography was great, and they used editing to add to it instead of hide mistakes in choreography.
And then the match cut of the leg kicks into the lightsabers was so good.
As an Edgar Wright fan, I am a nerd for match cuts, and they were used beautifully in this fight. So good.
I saw some people on social being like, why didn't he use his cortosis? Mainly because it's kind of obvious. Soul witnessed that. He knows that is a thing. Like, it's not like Kamiya can use it as a surprise anymore.
Yeah.
You could see in the fight Soul was being like, the point when he's trying to pull Soul's lightsaber forward is showing he was going to like pull it in to knock it out, but like Soul's aware of it now, so Soul's going to fight in a way that doesn't put himself in a position where he hits the helmet because he knows it's just going to leave him vulnerable. So the people trying to complain about that, you just pay attention to the fact that Soul's evolved. But we'll get on to the Kyber crystal bleed. Holy shit, the fact we got that in live action had me so hype when that happened.
Gorgeous.
So hype. And the way that they visually showed it as well when she ignited it and it slowly bled up the lightsaber, such a good creative choice.
Ever since I found out, and it was only in the last couple of years I discovered what Kyber crystals was, because obviously I've never been as big a Star Wars fan as other things. I've always enjoyed it, but I wasn't like a lore nerd for it. When I found out that was what it was, that is literally how I've always envisioned Kyber crystals bleeding. Literally how I've always envisioned it in my mind.
Well, yes, like I've known like the idea that the crystal itself like just goes cloudy with red, but I never thought about the fact that when you ignite it, if it's in the process of being bled, like you could get this effect change. I saw plenty of Star Wars fans complaining, being like, oh, so Force choking her master means she bleeds her Kyber crystal, but Anakin killing all the younglings didn't bleed his. To the people,
not how it works.
Well, even better than that, to those people, when that film came out, bleeding a Kyber crystal wasn't even a thing. It hadn't even been established in the comics or legends when that film came out. It came after that in a novel. So to the people using that as their like, why didn't it happen when Anakin killed all the younglings? Because that wasn't a thing George Lucas had come up with. Also,
it's not like oh, you've done an evil thing, so your Kyber crystal turns colour. It is you're pouring your anger and your sorrow and your Sith emotions directly into the crystal. She did it accidentally because she was overwhelmed.
She was touching it.
Yeah, she was so overwhelmed, and the hilt was broken, which exposed the crystal that she could bleed it.
That's also the thing. Like, you've got to interact with the crystal. You can either be. There are situations apparently in Legends where people have done it when they're holding the crystal with the Force, but that's still obviously them connecting with it. And then like Osha is touching it without realizing it, and she's bleeding into it. Then the other complaint I've seen about is like, oh, it took Anakin a whole series of comics to bleed his crystal, and they use a panel where like he's screaming. Those people that were like retweeting that, and what I've learned about that story is when Anakin tried bleeding his crystal, he had a fuck ton of pushback from the light side, trying to bring him back to the light side of the Force. So he was actually fighting the light side to bleed a crystal.
But also
so it's like it was a more aggressive and like intense moment.
But also, bear in mind what we know about the lore. He would have been bleeding his crystal after. Oh
yes, when he was like.
And we know his Force connectivity was damaged by the accident in Revenge of the Sith, and he spent years meditating in the Bacta tank to restore his connection. So it does also make sense that his connection would have been a bit fucked up. The light side's fighting to keep him. Of course, it's different, but also who gives a singular flying fuck? We got to watch a Kyber crystal bleed in live action.
Like,
just be happy.
The people that have complained so much about this show is like, there's so many things we've been like given from what was only ever legends, and like they've brought so much into canon of stuff that is like really cool stuff that we've been wanting, and yet these people still fucking complain. I don't get it. But the whole Kyber crystal bleeding was sick. The fact that that now is official in live action and canon in that sense is so cool.
Yes.
We got the big reveal, the big sneaky creepy boy in a cave. That is Plagueis. There is a lot of debate around.
Did I ever tell you the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
So we've been throwing the theories around throughout this of, is it Tenebris and Plagueis at the moment? Is it Plagueis and Chimera as his apprentice? I was starting to lean that maybe he wasn't Chimera wasn't his apprentice, or wasn't anymore. We knew that island we were presuming is the island that Tenebris and Plagueis find all the Cortosis on. Going off the fact that obviously we've been given one very short clip, and it was Plagueis spying.
Boy.
He was spying on Chimera and Osha. We have no more context than that, so it's all just theory, and some people are doing the usual like, taking everything as like they already know the full facts. I'm leaning, the more I've been thinking about it, I'm leaning to the fact that I don't think Chimera is Plagueis' apprentice. I think Plagueis is the current apprentice to Tenebris. And I think they've discovered that planet. Plagueis has been sent to go investigate it. Discovered, there's somebody on this planet who's learnt the Sith ways. We know that Chimera was a fallen Jedi who turned to the dark side. He could have learned those things and just connected with the dark side to learn stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean he's had a master.
Yeah.
And because if it was his apprentice, him seeing Chimera with Osha would immediately be like, well, I'm going to kill them both now because I'm seeing my apprentice try and get their own apprentice.
Yeah, if you're gonna have a secret apprentice, make sure they're a secret. Don't let me see them in our special island.
Exactly, which is why I think this is Plagueis as the apprentice, and now he's like, potential apprentice to get rid of Tenebris. Also, the whole thing, everyone's like, so Plagueis just learned how to create Anakin from the lesbian mothers on Brendok, and it's like, bro, you're just taking this at the you're like the media literacy and people's understanding of like how these things tie into the bigger story is just so infuriating sometimes.
But where did they think this? Like, did they just think one day Plagueis woke up and was like, I bet we can survive forever?
Yeah,
and if it wasn't him just waking up one day and like deciding that's possible, previous Sith would have come up with it, so the story wouldn't have made sense anyway.
Yeah.
He had to have found
something
written somewhere or in historical texts or something, and this is how they've tried to tell that part. Who cares?
He's either going to learn it from Chimera, who obviously knows about it, or he's going to learn it from Osha.
Go study Osha.
Yeah. Something that people need to remember, because I've seen people also be like, so this whole series has just made Anakin not special anymore. It's like, fuck no, Anakin is, if anything, more special, because this isn't the same as how Anakin came about. The twins were split due to a divergence. They weren't, as far as we know, it's not the fact that she had the child was split into two through divergence. That is very different to Anakin. And this thing, like, the Vergence was a location that the mother and the Coven used that power to split a child. Anakin himself was a Vergence. Like, his existence, because also something to know, Vergences are, because of the strong connection with the Force, often create a lot of life around them. Hence the thingy tree, the yellow leaf tree on this planet, the life there. There's the other places where there's been a lot, like often there is a lot of life and just around these things, these points. Anakin appeared on a fucking desert that is barren and nothing but sand. So like there is clearly no virgins on Tatooine. Anakin himself, which makes Anakin even more of a fucking like unique situation. Yeah. Also the fact that if it is Plagueis who created Anakin, which I don't know if that's actually ever said I think that's just theories. That is very different to splitting one child into two. Creating a child out of nothing is different than splitting a child in two. So like, sure, he's just gonna see these twins, maybe learn from Ocean. It's like, oh, the Force can meddle with life and actually can meddle with midichlorians in that way. Then goes on to study and realizes himself, oh shit, I can just create something from nothing. We'll do that. But his reveals was obviously I'd love to have had more of him in this series. But I'm okay with it being like in the final, if it's a season 2 and we get more information, maybe it's him trying to recruit one of them. What else went down? Venestra, obviously we got the confirmation that it was her Padawan.
Yeah, she whipped that poor boy.
I think she whipped him when she was like, the reaction of her going, "You're still alive," when she like force connected with him, shows to me. And she mentions that she had a Padawan who fell to the dark side. It's obvious that Chimera fell to the dark side. She thought she'd killed him. Job was done. She probably was like, cool, I got rid of that issue. Clearly didn't die. She was very surprised that he's alive. The fact she pinned it all on Sol is exactly as we expected.
Yeah.
Like, It
was so easy to do. It kept, because she is also would get in a lot of trouble if she was honest about what happened, because it's her Padawan that's been going around killing people.
Yep. And if she's covered it, we don't know if she covered up that her Padawan went to the.
I think she absolutely did. I think she's just gone. Sol killed the other Jedi to keep his secret. He then went to Brendok and killed himself. That's all that happened. Nothing else.
Yeah, it's like it covers up Chimera still being around because she's like, oh shit. It also covers up the whole blunder that Sol and the others did, like that whole mess. And it makes the Senate happy. Like we know that she's been playing political. We saw with that senator that came finally at the meeting.
That senator's a G, by the way, the only good politician in the world.
The guy being like, you are a group, you're a collection of power that is far too strong and unchecked, and you are going to basically you are going to create the downfall of this place.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out he's like one of the leaders of the separatist movement in the early days.
Well, we know at some point, obviously, the Jedi go from being this religious order to being working for the Senate. So he's obviously the first step in that of like the Senate stepping in and being like, okay, you're going to work under us now and we're going to keep you in check. But yeah, Venestra's definitely, the fact she covered it up to Sol doesn't surprise me. It's the easiest way to cover it all up. And there we have it. All the people that when Kidimunde was like, oh my God, nah, why would he say this line? Bro didn't know. Nobody knows that was Sif other than Venestra. 0 people. And no one knows that Osha and May were from virgins.
Yeah.
Because Sol was said in this episode, like, he was waiting for the Jedi to come so he could be like, look, they are from a virgins, they were split, and prove it all. And then he died before he told anyone. So, like, May being no memory, which makes me like, is she now, because her last memory was when she was 8, is she just got the brain of an 8-year-old now?
Yeah, this is something, because I've obviously never experienced amnesia. I have no idea like how, because like you hear stories of people having amnesia and like not being able to remember anything for their entire lives. It's like, so how do you know how to speak? I've never understood how amnesia works as a concept. So I'm just gonna accept that her last memory is at 8, but like she's still like an adult in mind and she hasn't been returned to the mental age of a child.
Functions of like memory in that sense, I think, but. Yeah, the fact that she has no memory, Vanessa doesn't know that it was a virgin's. Like, that's all hidden.
Yeah.
So that all died with Sol. Like, it's all just covered up. But then obviously we see at the end we get Master Yoda revealed finally, little teaser. And she's like, we need to talk. Everyone's like, oh, so she confesses to Yoda and he doesn't do anything. It's like, what in this show has given you any indication that she's going to tell him the truth?
Yeah, the people are just so quick to. I don't want to make this argument again, but I'm going to. Going down to smaller episode series has created this problem because stuff is expected to move so much faster.
Yeah,
I agree. Creates a problem. We're coming up to a few weeks soon where there's not weekly episodes, so I think I'm going to put together some. I hate this term, but I can't think of a better term. Think pieces about stuff like that for us to discuss, because I think that is part of the problem we're getting. And also, let's not forget, on the internet, it pays more to be negative than positive. So you're going to get people who are negative even if they don't agree with what they're actually saying, just because they make more money that way.
But yeah, so like, I fully think she's just gonna. I think she tells Yoda about the Soul situation because she's obviously had to clear it to Senate, and she'll be like, I don't even think she'll explain fully there. Maybe she'll mention about May and Osha, because that's kind of part of it, and that Osha's got away and she's going to be trying to fight, and maybe Yoda's like, okay, cool. But yeah, I think it's just going to be her kind of coming clean on the Soul situation because she was keeping that under wraps. I don't think she says anything about Chimera.
I agree.
I'm trying to think what else went down. The fact that May got Sol to confess in front of Osha was kind of like what we predicted was going to happen.
Yeah, we also got the turn from Osha that we were expecting.
Yeah, the Force joke.
And I think we may also get the double turn that I pointed out, because May is now in the care of the Jedi. They know she's powerful, and she's
it's the balance thing. Like, I think it comes back to your thing of last week about saying that if one's dark side, the other has to be light side because they are the same soul split.
Look at their costumes this week.
Yeah. That was just Star Wars coded. White.
That is so George Lucas, with Luke wearing the all black and then it flips to show the white.
I mean...
But yeah, no, solid. My biggest issue, and it is something I saw on Twitter that made me realise it, is the show's great. I do not feel like I care enough about Osha and May, though. They almost feel secondary in their own story, and I think that's a bit of an issue.
Yes, I get that. I think... The thing is, it's like, I think the show... this season, literally, without us realising, was meant to be pointing at flaws of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And that was, like, the focus on it. And May and Osha were just used in part of that. I think if we get a season 2, which I fucking hope we get a season 2, and I hope they listen to the people that have loved this show. But season 2, I think, needs to be very Sith focused now.
Yeah.
Because they've set it up so that they are still operating in the shadows. You can have Chimera teaching Osha. We could have Plagueis come along and try and be like, oh, apprentice. Revealing all that side of things going on. While the Jedi are just fucking clueless and doing their unchecked power situation. So yeah, I think season 2 could be really good for this. I've really enjoyed it. I'm glad that we've got to explore a new era of Star Wars. I've enjoyed the fact that the Jedi are finally getting shown in not the perfect light that some fans want to believe they are. And I think that's why a lot of them have struggled to enjoy this show, because they've only ever seen Sith as bad, Jedi good. Like, they are the good and always will be good, and aren't liking the fact that it's like, oh, the Jedi weren't always good. They were doing dodgy shit and stuff that they really shouldn't have been. But yeah, I just hope we get a green light on season 2.
Oh, absolutely. It has to happen.
and we get more Plagueis. I'm so ready for Plagueis to be brought in, because we could have a season 2 show how he overthrows Tenebrous, and then, we know I think he's going to learn from Osha and Chimera. Whether he doesn't use them and they go off and he still does this splinter thing and it's the Knights of Ren, maybe. Or if Plagueis is like, oh, I've got my information, kill. And then maybe it leads into him finding Sidious and making him his apprentice.
I'm very curious to see how this all goes. I'm loving the show. And it confirms to me even more something I've assumed for a while, that I do just need as much Star Wars as possible outside of the preset timeline.
Yep.
Instead of trying to shoehorn another series into a pretty congested timeline.
Yep.
Give us Old Republic, give us Far in the Future. Let's have some fun.
I think out of everything as well, people have enjoyed Chimera and enjoyed seeing a Sith again. I think this should show to them, I think the fans would very much love a show set when the Sith were in full power. There's a period, I forget what the period was called, but there's a period way back where it's Sith were just in mass amounts, and I think that'd be really sick.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
The Boys
finale.
Yeah. Another cracking finale.
Best episode of the series by a mile.
Yeah.
This tone shift in this series, they made it very clear that we know this isn't our best series, and that is purely because we were setting everything up for the final season.
Yeah.
Which doesn't let off this season being, I think, slightly worse, but it does make it all more palatable, because you're okay, we were shifting stuff in place so that you can tell the right story to end it all.
Yeah.
Craziness. So many things to break down.
Yeah. A lot happened.
So, obviously we know they're getting ready to assassinate President Singer, or President-elect Singer. And it's January 6th. Now, obviously, a lot of people found this funny because that is obviously a touchy date.
Yep.
But January 6th is just always when the president gets ratified.
Yep.
Which is why it had to be that date. It just also happened to be quite funny. The plan was wait for him to get put in power, get him killed, and then Miss Victoria Newman steps up to become president, and you have complete control over the country. Victoria found out at the end of last week's episode about the internment camps from Huey.
Yeah.
And you saw that took her by surprise, but she was like, I'm not too worried about that. Obviously, Homelander then fired Sage, and we sat there and gone, right, shit's about to go down.
Shit's going to go wrong now.
Yeah. And that's what we get. This whole episode is just shit hitting the fan. But in the most chaotically beautiful way ever. Homelander decides to out Newman as a superhero, as a super abled being.
Yeah.
On live TV, which was unhinged.
Yeah.
He then says to Ashley, give me a list of anyone who has dirt on us.
Yeah.
He then sends the 7, even though there's only 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. To go off and kill this list of people who have dirt on them. Which includes Ashley.
Yeah, because the Deep's wouldn't Ashley have the most dirt on us?
And this gives us our first unanswered question that we're going to go into next season with, of what happened to Ashley after she took the Compound V. Fair play to Ashley for being so locked in that she's heard that through the door and then ran straight to where she knows there's Compound V because of her interaction with A-Train. Yeah. And gone, fuck it, this might be the only way to save my life.
Yeah. I mean, the last couple of episodes, you've kind of seen a shift in her thinking with things. And then it was her hearing that and remembering, A-Train found the V. That's when she stumbled across A-Train with the V. And she's just gone, fuck it, and gone straight there to it's either this or I die. So, I think fair play, great move.
Then I'm not even going to try and name the stories, but on one of our other plot lines, we have Butcher, who collapsed at the end of last week in a hospital bed, literally on death's door. He's like, I'm days away from death here at best. The ghost of Joe Kessler still haunting him, going, I can save you, you've just got to give in to me. He's like, no, fuck you, Ryan will come good, buddy. Don't know if I've done an Australian accent because he's supposed to be English, but we move. Shit Australian accent, I do apologise. And then Mallory comes to visit him.
Yes.
Who we've not seen. Have we seen Mallory at all this season? I don't think
I think
so.
we saw her way back at the beginning.
Yes, very, very like first or second episode or something.
Yeah, when they were trying to get rid of Victoria.
Yeah. So that was interesting. Then I can't work out if he was down in like the big reveal for that plot line is Ryan's going to come visit him. They're going to try and convince Ryan to play for their team. Then when he gets confronted with that news, he realizes that it's like a secure government facility. I don't know how he got in there without realizing it's a secure government facility. But I'm not going to question that too much because he is just a kid. He probably wasn't paying that much attention.
Yeah, and he was probably escorted in.
Yeah. But I don't know if Butcher was always in that hospital, or if Mallory took him there when she came to visit.
No, I think he always was. Because you've got to remember, like, as soon as he would show up at a hospital, they would find, like, they would get wind, and they would just be like, right, get him into one of ours facilities.
No, you're right. So that was a big reveal there. Ryan didn't want to hear about his dad being a piece of shit, like even worse than he realised. He did not react kindly to what I suggested he might find out last week of how he was actually conceived.
Yeah.
I think Ryan was being incredibly reasonable.
Yeah.
For most of that engagement, just going, hold the fucking phone, I'll come back in a minute, I need some air, you're throwing a lot of news at me. Wait, you're now threatening to lock me in a prison if I don't do what you're saying. You want me to be a weapon. I get a lot of where he's coming from. But then, as with all soups in this show, it goes one step too far. He pushes Mallory and she dies.
It's a mirror of like with his mum, right? He doesn't know his own strength. I think it's wild that like out of everyone, Butcher is the one that is actually handling the kid the best. And is trying to knows that shit is a lot to tell a kid, so he's trying to like ease into things, and then it's Mallory's like the one that just like makes the mistake to just trauma dump essentially on a child, and it's just like, and then of course Ryan's not going to want to stay in a facility, and you're like, oh well, if you try to leave, I'm just going to gas us all. It's like, okay, so this is no longer, however you want to try and spin this, you are keeping me prisoner. You're just trying to make yourself feel better about it.
Exactly.
And it's just like,
not ideal, we'll say.
No.
The other I thought, obviously the end of that line is Butcher realising, well, this has all gone to shit. Joe Kessler's ghost appears again to re-off him the deal.
Yeah.
I'd say they're kind of like the B and C stories. The A story is, of course, the assassination, Starlight, all of this.
Yeah.
So we find out near the end of the episode it's been 10 days that she's been locked up missing. Which, before I knew it was 10 days and Huey's answer was less than 20, I was like, I'm sorry,
I know, right?
How long? So yeah. The shapeshifter trapped Annie. We now know a bit more about how the shapeshifting powers work. We were correct.
Yes.
She does get they get access to the memories, whoever they're.
Yeah.
And they have to top up regularly.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So it's like, obviously, if you're not, it only lasts, I want to say, like 24, 48 hours by the seams of it. And then it starts, like, the skin starts melting off. So yeah, the constant top-up is kind of wild. And yeah, to be doing that for 10 days, she's seen her like every couple of days.
And the way they explain the powers in that interaction between Annie and the shapeshifter, you can understand how you'd lose your mind if that was your power.
Yeah, especially if like when you first get it and you accidentally touch someone and then suddenly you just
have all these memories. You're like, what, 6 years old and you have the memories of an adult, and it's like your brain can't comprehend that. And if you have no control over it for even 4 years,
yep.
You're going to lose your mind.
If it's like your skin starts falling off and you're someone else underneath. Like the line of them being like, I don't even know what I look like anymore is a bit like, well, yeah, that's going to fuck with your head.
Yeah. So that was interesting for sure. Absolutely unhinged to propose to Huey. That's just pure evil.
Like, obviously starting to have too much fun with it. And clearly was trying to throw, because obviously it was the day of everything was meant to be going down. So it was obviously they were trying to kind of distract Huey.
Yes.
And keep him preoccupied or whatever. So it was like, fuck it, just throw proposal at him. To then also then go and tell Annie that's what's gone down.
Evil.
Yeah. And he's there knowing that Huey doesn't know.
Yeah.
Then
we move on to them going, okay, Newman's just been outed. We can't out the information we have on her being the head popper. We need to just try and get the president safe and play some defense. At which point, when they're down in the bunker, Huey finally gets one too many. Something's a bit off about Annie. And red alarms go off.
Well, yes, he goes to do the leak, doesn't he? And he finds all the data's gone. Doesn't question it.
With the amount of soups that they know of, they're probably like, there is a soup who could, like, if they know it's here, do something.
I guess in the moment, it's like, okay, well, that's not going to fucking work. We need to come up with a plan. They haven't got time to...
Exactly.
But yeah, him noticing, finally piecing together all these different things that he's been clocking. I'm glad it was... I would have liked it more if it was our theory that Butcher sensed it and just shot her. I think that would have been more like...
It would have been so badass for Butcher to just go, oi, fuck you, boof.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is that it felt like in the early seasons of The Boys, most soups weren't bulletproof.
Yeah.
Now they just seemed... Because she wasn't even bulletproof. She was she was just, like, wearing them. Because they were, like, cutting her up a little bit. It's kind of weird. I don't know how it works anymore. The waters of what is generic to a soup versus unique has got a bit messy. They feel less like superheroes now, whose powers are sometimes a little bit strange.
Yeah,
just turn more into these monster unkillable things.
Yeah.
It's rough, and with the direction they're going, I see why that makes more sense. Annie manages to escape in what was a scene I could barely watch with the squelching and the blood noises. I was like, ugh, I just like watching like that.
Yeah, it's like when she started pulling, I was like, oh, she's going to do the trick people do with handcuffs where they just dislocate their thumb.
Yeah.
And then it starts ripping skin, and I'm like, oh, this is a bit more than just that. Oh.
Poor Kamiko getting a fucking head spun.
Yeah, but it kind of made me laugh, just the way she's just like looking up at it after it. Because the problem is, we know she's going to be okay. So it's just like, she's got snapped again. Can't wait to watch this suddenly just go.
But Kamiko is like one of only like 2 characters I genuinely believe deserves a happy ending.
Not yet, though.
So I always feel bad for Kamiko when anything goes slightly wrong. So I'm like, you were forced to be a child warrior, and you're like trying to do the best you can. You are a good person, I genuinely believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Annie manages to get to the bunker to help them deal with the shapeshifter once and for all.
Yep.
And then we get the very uncomfortable conversation between Annie and Huey, where I very much see both sides.
Yes. Do you know what this gave me? Like, obviously, not to stereotype, But there's the
I
joke.
can see where this is going.
There's the joke of like the girlfriends have of like if they dream about you cheating and they're like, oh my god, I can't believe you did that. And it's like, this was a dream. This wasn't actually. It's the same energy of like, what did you want from him? He thought it was you. How, like, of course he's not going to question it. Like, it has your memories and looks like you. It's like, he did obviously then reveal he picked up on some small things, which I feel actually didn't help him in that situation.
I can't believe that he thought that was like. Oh no, I noticed other things before the thing, but because that just adds to her whole point of you were happy just because you were getting some. And you going, well, yeah, I noticed some things, but like, I didn't really care.
It's, but also at the same time, it's like, come on, it's a shapeshifter. It's not count. Huey is a bit dumb at times.
Like most people would not realize if it was a shapeshifter.
No.
And here's the thing: our one concern, like, if it had been the shapeshifter doesn't get memories. Within 10 days, Huey's got a notice.
Yeah.
Because you can't act like someone who you know nothing about for 10 days without making a mistake. But the fact they get memories as well.
Well, yeah, like, you've got to think that first thing was the whole dress situation that, like, at the end of last week's episode. Like, that had just happened. It's just like, that's going to make you not even think twice.
And when things are going well in a relationship, you will, like, pay less attention to anything that might dampen that. So, yes, bearing in mind they knew a shapeshifter was a problem.
Yeah, but
should he have been a bit more locked in when he notices something a bit weird? Almost certainly. But I think Annie got a little bit annoyed at the wrong things, because let's remember, yes, Huey did have sex with the shapeshifter. He was actually raped. That's what happened.
And you've also got to remember, he'd just come out of the whole Tech Night situation.
Yeah. My man has been sexually assaulted basically every episode this season.
He's lost his dad. He's had a hell of a week. I don't think his head's in the right place.
Exactly. And then Victoria Newman, having seen how to shit everything's gone with Sage being kicked out of the Seven and the assassination attempt failing and Homelander being like, you're going to do exactly what the fuck I tell you or I will chop your daughter up and send her to you bit by bit. She finally caves and goes, right, let's work together.
She realizes she's in too deep. She's past the point of being able to control feel like she can still control her situation, and she's realized, oh, I'm now at the point where I've gone too deep and I'm going to be stuck under Homelander's control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she organised a meet with Huey and the boys. Huey did a very, very good job of selling it to everyone else. He was like, I'm sick of just seeing dead bodies everywhere. Maybe the way we actually make a change is by fighting a different way.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, actually is the most in character Huey's felt for about a season and a half now. Because he is right. At the very beginning, he, like, was violently sick and felt horrific after every superhero died. And now he's just, like, not even reacting to blood. So that made a lot of sense. I liked that. That discussion. And Mother's Milk being like, yeah, fuck it. It worked with A-Train. Maybe it can work again. We're out of all other good options.
Yeah, this point's like, what have you got to lose?
Frenchie, make sure that fucking virus is ready just in case.
Yeah, I liked how Frenchie was there, immediately just pointing it at her.
Yeah. No danger in you pulling anything. We're going to give you a chance here, but that is all you're getting.
Yeah.
And then we get the dopest reveal of them all.
Kind of how I said it was going to go down.
Yeah. Butcher turns up, having accepted Joe Kessler's ghost.
Yep.
Looking younger. So in the hospital bed, did you notice how his hair was going grey?
I didn't pay that close attention.
His sides were going grey.
Okay.
He turned up there, his hair was jet black again. As a way of just showing that he was back to full, like, he feels great again. He doesn't feel unwell. Craziness. We get, like I was speaking about last week, the cancer cell kind of tumor monster inside.
Yep.
But it does feel like a different Butcher. It doesn't feel like Butcher's actually on.
That's what I was going to say. You've got to think back to. So it did the reveal kind of how I thought it would in front of the boys. Like he'll use this tentacle shit, and they'll all be like, "What the fuck?" I didn't quite expect this to be why he used it. But
when I say I audibly gasp at Victoria Newman being ripped in half.
Yeah.
Also, we know what the boys are like for their prosthetics. Can we just remember that Jack Quaid, who plays Huey, is dating the actress who plays Victoria?
Oh, okay, I didn't know that, but
bearing in mind how they tend to do their stunts, that means he might have seen a very lifelike version of his girlfriend get ripped in half.
And on the floor in a pile of blood. And,
yeah.
Damn. The reveal of the tentacles or whatever, you can tell, and also you got to think back to when this happened last time, was with the church guy, I forget his name. Ezekiel. Remember, he wakes up and he has no memory.
Yeah.
So, for this to be like able to come out and be in control, I think he's like completely Butcher, we know, is blacked out, has no control right now. He's essentially handed the keys over to the car, and Joe Kessler's in full control. I think you're right. This isn't our Butcher, essentially. This is the tumor is in control now.
See, I don't think it's quite that far. I think it's more because Joe Kessler is Butcher.
Well, yeah.
In the sense of it's just his darkest impulses. I think he's just given into that side. So it is still Butcher. This is 100% Butcher, but without the compassion.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean by like he's kind of handed the keys over.
But I think he's very much still there, but he's just kind of shut off compassion. He's let Joe Kessler kill Becca, essentially. Because that's what it was. It was a good versus evil type thing. And he's kind of just gone, yeah, I'm not listening to you anymore, Becca, because the boy ain't worth it. But it set ourselves up for a very interesting position where season 3 is going to be Soups versus Butcher versus the boys. By the way,
season 5.
Yeah, season 5. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's going to be the thing of like Butcher's going to try and now take on Homelander himself.
Yeah.
And it's the question of does then Butcher go to like doesn't know when to stop, because we know Joe Kessler was like, oh yeah, just kill all Soups. So like, is it actually he's thinking like, okay, I hand over the keys, we can get Homelander together, and then when he wants to take control back, he can't, and he's actually then starts being like Butcher going after every Soup.
I mean, it's worth remembering in the comics, Butcher does decide to go after all Soups.
So
it's very possible they decide that that's something they want to keep.
Yeah.
We need to remember Butcher isn't a good guy, he's just a less bad guy.
Yeah. Also, the final moments of this season was the boys getting captured.
Yes. So, it got revealed, and I love this so much because of all the fucking idiots online who all season were going, Sage isn't that smart.
Oh, yeah.
She's been two steps ahead the whole time.
Yeah.
She knew she was going to get found out. She didn't care. She knew she'd get fired. That's how it had to happen for her plan to actually work. She's playing chess. The rest of us are playing.
It's obviously
tic-tac-toe.
I think it's more like obviously she hoped she wouldn't get fired or anything, but she saw it's the fact that she knew that was a possible outcome, and when it happened, like she said, she was like, "It's not exactly how I planned it, but I moved some things around." Which is obviously she got fired and she's like, "Okay, I need to change some things because this is how it's gone." Then obviously it got revealed Vic had been killed and was being framed as a suicide. But then she's flipped it. She's taken that news was about to come out, obviously, and used her information she had to then flip it on the boys.
Well, she also said that she knew Newman would never work as a patsy. Or that Singer would never work as a patsy.
Yeah.
No, Newman would never work as a patsy because she has too many of her own ideas. So it was easier to let her get herself killed, let Singer take the fall for it, which is what she planted with like the bug in the room. And then their person, the Speaker of the House, is going to be in power, and he'll do exactly what the fuck he's told.
Mm-hmm.
She's brilliant.
Oh yeah, she played everyone, and I think Homelander in that moment was like, "Oh shit, okay, I do need to listen to you."
Because here's the thing. After last week's episode, everyone was like, why didn't she just tell how did she not know A-Train was the leak? Oh, she's claiming she always knew. Why didn't she tell Homelander? Did people miss the 3 people who got stitched up for being the leak getting instantly murdered by Homelander? She knew A-Train was the leak, but she needed the leak to exist, and she couldn't risk Homelander killing A-Train.
Mm-hmm.
She needed him to be there to control the narrative.
Yeah, and also, like, A-Train working with the boys gave her, like, a connection, like, a way to the boys and stuff. Yeah, she was playing everybody, and that's what we kind of expected. I like how she was like, this was a lot of fun, can't wait for phase 2, and Homeland's, what do you mean phase 2? And it's like, I'm also like, what is Sage's phase 2 of the plan?
Yeah. What does phase 2 entail?
I think it's phase 2 is getting Homelander fully in charge.
Oh, yeah. Homelander as president.
Because
am I correct?
I also, the point when there was like, when Homelander was saying to Vic about like, when she was going to be in power, he's like, she's like, well, we've got to do, I'll get impeached. And he's like, why does that matter? And she's like, well, I've got to get re-elected in 4 years. He's like, why? We'll change the rules. It doesn't matter anymore. This is what we can do, what we want. And I think in that moment as well, she was like, oh shit, Homelander's unhinged. He's like, what she still stood for, which was like the actual democratic way of doing a president. And then Homelander's like, yeah, fuck all that. We're just going to be in power forever. And she's like, oh, this is more than just being in control. This is taking over.
This
so,
is
like,
more than you being in charge of war and in charge of superheroes and making yourself big and important. This is you wanting to literally control America.
Yeah.
And then that leads into the boys all trying to ditch because they know they're about to get rounded up.
The way they fucking set that up of like, they were all going to go their separate ways, and you're like, oh shit, okay. And they'll have to like, something's going to happen in season 5, they're going to have to come back together. Cool, but they're all getting away for now. And it's like, everyone's getting to their points where they're leaving, and then, boom, no, you were wrong. They're not escaping.
Yeah. So, what's interesting to me, A, we finally got a good understanding of how scary Sam is.
Yeah.
Because he was holding Kamiko back.
True. Yeah, Kamiko was smacking him and he was just like, no emotion, didn't care.
Do you understand how, like, we've seen Kamiko fuck people up effortlessly.
Yes.
And Sam is holding her back like a child.
I feel so bad, though, with Frenchie essentially being turned back into a lapdog. And just in a split second. The most heartbreaking thing being that Kamiko finally speaks because she's screaming no as Frenchie gets taken away, was like, right after they'd obviously also kissed and like, we're going to be getting together. And it's like, okay, they're escaping together. They can like be them. And then suddenly he's ripped away from her. And then that makes her speak again. It's like, oh, my heart.
But what's interesting to me is she wasn't put in the back of that van. So what's the plan for her?
Yeah.
Starlight and Huey get. Do you remember? Oh, what was it? Season 2 when they go to that prison.
Yes,
Soups, and that's the girl that escapes.
Yeah.
So she obviously drops like a boat in front of them. Huey gets put in the back of that van, and Starlight finds her powers again and flies away, looking dope. She's learnt how to fly.
Yeah.
With some speed as well, by the way.
Yeah.
We get Mother's Milk obviously getting ready to board a flight to join his family.
Yeah, we got the Russian guy from...
Yeah, that man could not escape the penises. I feel so bad for him.
The fucking... From the same party, isn't it?
Of the 6 boys, I'm including Butcher in that,
the
3 with superpowers are on the run, and the 3 humans have been caught.
No, because Kamiko's not on the run.
Well, we don't know. She's not been rounded up in the same way.
I think she's going to be. It's just Sam has to control her because... Do you know what I think it is? The 3 boys of Frenchie, Huey, and Mother's Milk are going to go put in an internment camp, standard prison.
There's no way they're dumb enough to put them in the same prison, right?
No, it won't put them in the same prison, but you've got to remember Tech Knight had multiple prisons.
Prison Break episode?
But
Tattoos on Huey?
They're going to get put in a prison because they're just normal people. Yeah. People like Kamiko, and obviously Annie if she'd been caught, but she just fucked off. People like Kamiko, they'll have to put in a special securement facility, won't they?
Mm.
So I think that's where the vans they're going to get all shipped to a prison, and maybe they end up at the same one, maybe they don't. I think it'd be dumb if they did. And then Kamiko's going to end up maybe with the Godolkin ones and the Vought Tower.
I think the real question's going to be, how dystopian is season 5 going to be? It's obviously going to be dystopian. It has to be, just logically. But I'm curious to see how dystopian they go. Where's A-Train?
I was about to say,
Annie?
A-Train's going to get hunted. Annie's going to get hunted.
Where's A-Train? Where's Annie? Where's Ashley?
Yes.
And what's the plan? Obviously, the big reveal at the end is Homelander now knows Soldier Boy's alive.
Yes. His dad's alive.
So, what's going to happen? Now that we know season 5 is the last season, it's going to be electric.
I think you're going to get... do you know what the three obviously are going to end up in a prison. I'm pretty sure. They're obviously also rounding the dystopian thing's going to be like he said he wants to round up all the Starlighters. Like it's going to be like busloads of people being put in prison. Annie's going to either go find A-Train, or she's going to try and go find Butcher. But I don't know if she does because it's like she already doesn't really get on with Butcher.
And they know how difficult Newman was to kill, and he did it like it was nothing.
Yeah. It could be we see Annie, Ashley, A-Train as a little trio.
I've got a feeling Ashley's going to be a proper eldritch monster.
I so want, for her, I want her to be the one that kills the Deep.
You don't want Annie to kill the Deep?
Nah, Annie's got enough, revenge things she's got away with.
Yeah. Also, Noir is going to be even scarier next season. This entire season has been, I don't understand Noir.
He's clicked.
And now he's getting murder boners, which was obviously a joke at the time, but that was literally that's Noir just loved killing so
the
much.
way the Deep killed the marketing guy, and he was like, "Oh, it's okay, I forgive you." Smack.
Last week, that fight with Deep, Noir, and that was the first time all season Soups felt really dangerous again.
Yeah.
This week compounded that, and I think that was deliberate so that going into next season, we're reminded how scary Soups are because how powerful they are.
I think Firecracker's going to have a heart attack.
I'm really curious to know what's going on with Firecracker. I've got a feeling she might be infected with the virus somehow.
No, so I think she's having a heart attack. Because remember, she said she was taking the meds and it made her heart bigger.
Yeah, no. I get that. I'm not 100% convinced. I think that's a red herring.
Do you know what I think is going to happen with her? She obviously did the milk thing because she was like, "Oh, this will get me in with Homelander. He'll like me for this," and it was working. And then she's realized with his reaction to her coughing, it's like, no, this hasn't gained me anything. If anything, this has just made him use me more. Because it's like he's still throwing me away. He just gets what he wants and then throws me away afterwards. It's like she's trying to be like, she clearly wants to be like his right-hand woman, but he keeps, and it's obviously messing with her head where she thinks she's one step closer to that and then gets the realization of who Homelander is. While she's also, I think, essentially having a heart attack because she couldn't run and stuff. So I think either she's going to stop the meds and fight back, or she's just going to end up having a heart attack or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if next season sees her doubling down in meds, because also Sage is back in Homelander's good books.
true. And called Homelander Boo.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you reckon she'd have to lobotomise herself to sleep with Homelander as well?
Probably.
Well, she didn't have to lobotomise herself to sleep with Noir, so...
Yeah, but that's Noir. Homelander is... Homelander.
Unbearable, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, phenomenal end to the season, and I'm excited for the next season. I believe the plan is in 2025 we get season 2 of Gen V, and then 2026 will be the finale of The Boys.
I'm intrigued if they're going to have Gen V carry on with them lot. What have they been up to while all this has been going on? Because we've seen that the other two have been obviously helping in places.
Yeah, they've been doing bits and pieces here and there.
So there's no way they've just been forgotten down there.
No, I imagine the start of Gen V Season 2 will just be just before the events of Homelander taking power, and then the majority of it is in the gap.
Maybe.
Season 3 led into Gen V Season 1, which led into Season 4. So I think there'll be a tiny overlap.
Yeah,
and then
maybe.
Gen V Season 2 continues the universe's story.
Possibly.
But we are in the end game now.
We are.
And from the boys finale to the final boy back in action, Josh is here with another gaming update. It's been a while, an extra week he's made us wait because he's been moving. He thinks it's a good enough excuse. We disagree, but he is here.
The final boy. I'm not sure I'm the final boy, but I enjoyed the segment anyway. Yep, I am back. New office, as you can see. So we're going to have 2... When was the last episode? Summer Games Fest
5
special?
weeks ago.
Summer Game Fest one, yeah.
And to be honest, we haven't missed a lot.
No.
It's been a bit of a slow transition from Summer Games Fest until now. There's been a few games come out that we did discuss in the last episode. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, which I was very much looking forward to. 95 it is sitting out on a Metacritic as of today. I'm probably 3-4 hours into it. It's probably my game of the year, even though it's not technically a game, it's a DLC. Fantastic.
I greatly enjoyed watching some of the streamers I enjoy watching playing through that DLC. It was a lot of fun.
It is incredible. Senua's Saga's Hellblade 2, which we discussed quite a bit on the previous episode. 80, not horrendous. I like the first game, haven't got around to playing this one, which it is on Game Pass, so I'll get around to it at some point. Luigi's mentioned 2 HD 78, which I think is quite low for a Mario Nintendo game. Once Human, Horror, you're going to have to talk to us about this one, maybe in a bit, because we are going to ask what you have been playing, but that's at a 62. Immediate thought on that score?
I think fair. Okay. Maybe a little. I'd be somewhere around the mid-range on the score, so yeah, I think that's fairly
quite
fair.
Accurate. Yeah, it's fair enough. And the First Descendant, which I thought we might check out as a score, it's got a 57, so I'm not 100% sure anymore.
57 is a honking score.
Yeah, I know. It's just I've seen some gameplay on of it. It's like a looter shooter.
I know why this is. Partly the monetization is egregious, and the servers had a terrible launch on top of that.
Is the First Descendant the game that's had a bit of controversy as well, because it says we will give your ID to the government if they ask, but people didn't read the terms of service right?
That's Once Human.
Oh,
because it's
okay.
a live
Once Human had
service.
that drama.
Yeah.
Even though that drama does make no sense if I've understood it correctly, because you don't have to give them your ID. Yeah.
Well,
you don't have to give them your ID.
Purely
it's just
for China.
They will give it to the government. Okay, cool.
And Once Human
so that's
also
probably
got social. It was like the social media thing as well. It's like, people are like, they're stealing our social media. It's like, yeah, if you want the rewards for linking your social media, they're going to get the information from your social media because you've linked to your social. It's like people just.
That's just people being stupid, but anything else. And I think
it seems like people have chosen a random Tuesday to realise that when you give companies your data, they're selling it, and now they're deciding everything that's happened in the past wasn't that, and it's only just started literally today. It's like, no, it's been this way for 10 years. You guys are late to the party.
Yeah, 57 and 62 on those last 2 games, which isn't the most ideal, but yet to release this month. Again, like I say, it's quite slow. August, next month's episode is going to be a banger. So I'm very much looking forward to that. We've got EA Sports College Football coming out tomorrow. I'm ready. I've got my LSU cap on. I will be there day one. It's pre-installed, ready to go. Catch me there tomorrow. Flintlock Siege of Dawn, as we're recording it, comes out today. It is on Game Pass day one. It's one that I had on my list from a showcase quite a while ago. I'm pretty sure it was an Xbox One. So I'm looking forward to that. One that Luke will enjoy. F1 Manager 24. Not a bit of us.
No.
I'm pretty sure 23rd of July. That's probably going to get pretty good review scores, I could imagine.
I think considering the F1 24 or whatever that came out had a bit of a mixed thing, this might do better.
I feel like Manager Sim games always do fairly well, don't they?
Manager Sim games are them games that always sell really well, but never get a lot of chat because they have such a dedicated fan base that play them every year and don't
they just are what they
kick
are,
up too much for a fuss. Fair enough?
Yeah, fair enough, can't go wrong. Announcements, news, and updates. Like I say, it's been fairly slow, but one of them, which I found quite cool, which I might utilise, the ability to now play Xbox games through TV Amazon Fire Sticks. I have a Fire Stick in the living room. I don't have an Xbox when I play Xbox games. I use my PC. There is one caveat. You need the 2023 edition of the 4K Fire Stick. So it's basically just a new one. They were probably on sale the last couple of days as we're recording on Prime Day. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool.
I think they've even now released a bundle, which is the no Xbox bundle. And it is literally a controller, a Fire Stick, and a years of Game Pass or something.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's 60 quid for the Fire Stick you need by itself. It's definitely an option. Even if it's just for, like, if you're someone who travels a fair bit for work, you could literally, a Fire Stick takes up that much room, a controller takes up that much. You can throw that in your suitcase and you have something to do in your evenings.
Well, they had the thing, didn't they, with it? Was it Samsung TVs?
Yeah.
And this is like the next step. I mean, at this point, I'm just like, can we get it on a Google Chromecast? Considering Google scrapped the Stadia and all their cloud gaming, just work with Xbox to do it.
Yeah, I've not tried Xbox Cloud Gaming in about a year and a half, so I don't know how much better it's got. It was surprisingly good about a year and a half ago when I tried it. I wouldn't want to play anything on like a multiplayer game with it, but for story games or single-player sports games, you can make it work. So if that continues to improve and it becomes more widely available at the same time, it's very quickly going to become a very enticing option for a lot of people.
I feel like it's one of them ones that a lot of people are going to see it, and like a lot of the general Xbox fans, maybe kids and stuff, are going to see it and be like, yeah, I want to try that out, and realise their internet might not be strong enough. It is one of them ones. Especially
in the UK.
Yeah.
Of the developed world, we have pretty poor internet in most of the country.
True.
And I think us as a country might struggle with that.
I think the success and reviews of it are going to be very person to person, depending on how strong the signal is in your house. Because I can imagine anyone trying to run up a game and just pixelating everywhere isn't going to be the best. But I think overall, I mean, I'm definitely going to try and utilize it in the living room. Take a controller, leave a controller down there.
Yeah.
Be able to play on the big screen. I can't see any negatives to it myself.
Yeah, completely agree.
And then following on from college football that is dropping tomorrow, it passed 700k concurrent players during early access. So the game, for those who pre-ordered it on Monday, it became available. Servers died day one, as you can imagine. I don't think they expected 700,000 people trying to get on all at once. For a sports game outside of FIFA, I feel like that's mad numbers. I couldn't imagine Madden ever doing anything like that.
But I mean, EA suck. It's a sports game that lasts for a year. They're charging like an extra 30-40 quid for early access. And basically, I imagine Ultimate Team's also in this, like it is in all of their sports games. Yeah, cool. So what they've done is you're going to pay an extra 30 quid to get access to our Ultimate Team, so that you can get a week ahead of everyone else. And in reality, they've just squeezed 30 quid out of everyone. It annoys me. I dislike the concept of early access.
Fair.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. I ain't got much more to add to that unless you have already.
But EA are going to be rubbing their grubby little mitts at 700,000. That is
100%.
insane numbers for early access.
Sales figures on that. And then tomorrow's numbers just going to boost as well, aren't they?
I also had some of the big streamers playing it, didn't it? So that'll have helped.
And you got to remember, it's only on Xbox and PS5 at the minute. No old gen, no PC. So just console. That's pretty.
No PC at launch is crazy.
Yeah, and that is a strange one. Which, if anything, makes that 700k more impressive.
Mm-hmm. We've also got to remember, like, 700k is going to be inflated by how long it's been since the college football game was released.
10, 11 years,
isn't this the first one in ages? So
2014 was the last one.
So you've got $30 difference between the standard and deluxe. Did you get early access with the deluxe?
Yes.
Okay, so an extra $30, 30 times 700,000. Like, that's what? Is that 31 million or 3.1 million?
No idea.
I honestly don't even know. Pause.
I have A-level maths, but no idea.
Go
on, Mr. Accountant, yeah. Where's the quick maths from you?
I need my Excel sheet open.
It needs some function.
He's a fraud.
Only knows how to do maths in Excel.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
It's $21 million extra. that's on top of like the $70 the game is already.
Pocket change for you, that.
Bonkers.
That is bonkers. Insanity.
Would you also say that college football in general is more popular now than when the last one was on? I feel like
no, I don't think it is.
No,
I think it's more globally popular.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So it's definitely going to do better outside the States than it ever used to. But I imagine inside the States, any bump will just be because of how long it's been since the last one came out.
Cool.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to open the floor to you boys. What have we been playing recently? I can't even remember what we would have been playing from the last episode. It was probably just X-Defiant at the time.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't remember any other games.
I was
really
also
playing
a fair bit Starfield.
Yeah, because we had the DLC.
Yeah. DLC's not till later this year. There was just a big quality of life update. Just more X-Defiant. I've also downloaded Cricket 24, which is now on Game Pass. Coming into the summer, I'm such a certain times of year I like rotate sports games. So Cricket 24, especially after the heartbreak of the Euros, I was like, bun off football. Let me just play something else for a while. So yeah, it's good. Cricket, the people who make the cricket games do what I've been begging other sports games to do for a while, and they don't do yearly releases. I think they're on a 2 or 3 year cadence at the moment, which allows them to really make meaningful improvements from game to game. And it looks like another solid entry that feels a lot more alive. But yeah, other than that, I don't think I've really been playing anything too different. I did grab a bunch of indie games in Steam Summer Sale.
Love to see it.
But I haven't got around to starting any of them yet. I need to work out what I'm doing in my life. The problem is I want to stream all of them because I'm sure they'll be fun. And I just need to bully myself into starting, and then I'll get addicted to it.
Right, Ori, we know what we need to do, mate. We need to bully him. But Ori, I'm going to need the Once Human breakdown.
So I picked up Once Human on Sunday purely because I've been playing Rust again. Yeah. And God knows, last week had probably one of my best ever Rust wipes. It was great.
Yeah.
Loved it.
You were very excited with this wipe.
Had a great wipe. One of the best you could say.
That's
this week,
bad sentence, isn't it?
Yeah. After 1,000 hours, finally had a great wipe. Then this week, absolute worst wipe ever. Me and my mates it's one of those games where it's just like sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. So by Saturday we were all like, yeah, we're fed up with this. Like, so then we were like, oh, Once Human's out, my mate was like, I've downloaded it. You lot should. As an MMO, it feels like it pulls a lot of things from different games, which is cool. It has some like little things from New World, like mechanic wise.
New World, sort of like crafting survival-y type.
Yeah, a little bit of kind of, I guess you could say, Rust with the base building, like your general survival game with the base building stuff. And then it has like your usual MMO dungeons and stuff that you can do. I'd say overall, it's a fairly like solid groundwork. Unfortunately, it is very buggy. There is a lot of things in that game that don't like things in the tech tree that you unlock that don't actually work properly, or your usual things that happen with a big scale game like that was in early access. And it seems what the weird thing I found looking stuff up is people that played the beta, some of this stuff was fixed in the beta, but it seems like they've released an older build for whatever reason.
Right,
so
okay.
some things no longer, like some things have rolled back, whether they weren't stable enough for like a full scale release, I don't know.
Yeah.
They must have found a really big issue and they've gone back to the last semi-stable version.
Possibly. I'd say overall it's been fun so far, but it's like I've been playing it for a week, not obviously like non-stop, but my worry is they're doing the big controversy that a lot of people are talking about is they're doing wipes every 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Yes.
That's an odd length.
Yeah. The wipes, I get it. The maps, because you can put down your base anywhere, like you can claim like a spot of land. The starting area is just scattered, with every surface is like a half-built base where people have obviously tried the game, done the start of it, and then they ever got bored and left. So there's just like uninhabited like platforms everywhere of like the starts of bases and stuff. So I get it. You need to wipe. They want to clear the map, otherwise it's going to become a mess. The issue is, it's like 6 weeks is quite short. They're claiming that every wipe they're going to bring in new scenarios and new content. And that's a lot of content to be bringing out every 6 weeks to keep it feeling new and fresh. And my worry is after maybe the second wipe, it's going to be like, hang on, this is just reskinned content the same again. Like we're now just repeating stuff, or it's going to like be half baked. Yeah, that's my worry. And I think this game is going to live and die by this first wipe because they've not done one yet. And
here's my question. For games like this and Rust and everything, I understand why wiping is seen as necessary. But forcing that upon your player base seems interesting when instead you could just go, right, we're going to give you guys the ability to like take control of your own server, and then you guys can control how often you wipe. Like you essentially do with a Minecraft server.
Yes, but I don't think that would work because because of the MMO aspect, and there is like world events and stuff. You lose all that if you have just running your own server on your own.
Okay,
I suppose like PvP as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm on a PvP server, which is like you'd have to toggle on, but
they could make it so that when you're searching for a PvP server, they could have it so you're searching for a 1 week wipe or a 6 week wipe or a 3 month wipe or a 6 month wipe, and they go, this is how often we're going to wipe on this server, and then you can choose what you want to do.
Oh, I think there's better ways. I think their pure reason for doing it is to clear the map because of performance wise. And it's like, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, like however long, like they need to do that to clear the map. I just think Rust, it works perfectly fine because Rust is a game where it's like, there is no sort of huge, there's no like you reach a point and you're kind of done. Like essentially with Rust, it's like you grind a load to get through the gear, to get the better guns, till you can get explosives, you raid bases, and it's like, cool, I've achieved what I'm meant to do. It's kind of what Rust is. There is other things you can be doing, but like most people's goal in a wipe is to raid a couple of bases successfully. Cool, I was the better team. We go again next time. Everyone starts fresh. In an MMO, when you're grinding for like gear and you're grinding like tech tree and tech points and stuff, it kind of, I just think they could do some sort of system. Either there's upkeep to your base that if you don't keep on top of it, it decays and disappears. Or like I've played on a DayZ server where there's like a flag that you have to raise, and if you haven't logged on for a couple of days, the flag starts lowering, and if it reaches the bottom, your base disappears. So like you could have a system like that to get rid of the people's bases that haven't been on for. But yeah, it's
so
also,
you'd rather have it with no wipes, essentially, is what you're saying.
I'm okay with like
regard.
So the wipe is apparently a soft wipe. So like you keep all your skill levels and everything unlocked, but like this is the other thing. No one really properly understands how it wipes yet, because they're like, oh, you can put all your stuff into a box in what's called a Turnaland, and then you can use the season credits in the new season content, like you can pull your stuff out, but no one knows how many like credits things are going to cost to pull back out of that. So it's like if you're full
that also
gear
sounds a bit pay to win, doesn't it?
Well, so it's not pay to win because it's the credits you earn in the season. So it's like,
oh, can you not buy them credits?
I don't think so.
Oh,
So-
okay, that's not
But
too bad.
but
then.
the thing is,
But
it's like
it can create like a rolling effect. Now, if you dump a bunch of hours in,
yeah, but
and
I
you
imagine
go into a
it's
server with some people who haven't, you can just burn all
Yeah.
your credits and go, I am God on this server for the next 6
Yeah.
weeks.
like this is the thing. It's like if it's your full gear set is like crazy expensive to pull out with the season credits, and it's like almost impossible to have enough. It's gonna then just feel shit. It's
What was the
literally
point of the grind in the first place? Yeah.
until this first wipe. This will be the deciding factor. It's also very mobile game coded with like multiple season passes and different like. There's so many different like event things going on and season and a battle pass and there's a event shop and a normal shop and it's like your typical mobile game like microtransaction everything. So yeah, it's fun, but it has its issues, and I think the longevity of it is still very up in the air.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
What you been playing, Josh?
Like I mentioned, Shadow of the Erdtree. A few hours into that, I am up to the first like main boss at the minute, and
taking your time.
I played 45 minutes the other day, flat out trying to beat him. Couldn't do it, gave up. Haven't played it since. He's just smoking me, and it was getting to the point. You know when you're just frustrated and you're not enjoying it anymore. I was like,
Me
no,
every day.
I need to have a break. I've actually been playing Guardians of the Galaxy.
I saw you've been playing that. I saw that on
So
Discord.
I passed on it at launch. I think there was other games I was playing at the time. So I finally got round to playing it. It is on PS Extra, so it's part of my membership. Thought I'd try it out, and I'm actually really enjoying it. The gameplay, I'm really enjoying the combat. I think the combat's really fun. I don't know if either of you have played it.
I played a bit of it on Game Pass, and I couldn't get on with it for some reason, and I can't remember what.
So I'm enjoying the combat. I quite like the story. It's quite janky. There'll be times when there's like a cutscene playing, and Peter Quill's like half in the floor, half not in the floor, and he's sort of like walking through. In that respect, it's quite glitchy, but I'm having a good time with it at the minute. Obviously not finished it yet. I'm probably about halfway through, maybe. Probably at the minute I'd give it 6.5, 7 out of 10. It's nothing like spectacular, but I'm having a good time with it.
Awesome.
Then as of tomorrow, I'll be playing college football. It's foreseeable. I've got my portal all ready to go. So
Maybe not foreseeable. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are for the boys.
true that. First stream back next week, maybe.
Cool.
But you guys have also been playing a lot of Extra Fine, right?
We have
Yes, a boatload. They after the season 1 update, we had some big issues with connectivity for a few weeks there,
just
which
Ubisoft things.
seem to be getting better now.
Okay.
Me and Hori managed 2 full nights without any disconnects. The boys weren't so lucky, but we were.
But they're also on console, so it's
Yeah, that's a whole different host of issues. But the game's still good. It's if they can keep the server stable so they can focus on content and quality of life stuff, the game can be really good. But it feels like at the minute they're in firefighter mode, putting out fires as they pop up.
Okay.
yeah. It's season 1's been good. The new content's fun. I think ranked is still needs a bit more time in the oven to get to where it feels good. A big thing that I think will help that is having it so it's like one agent type per team, because at the moment you get like everyone
Like you can
runs
just stack the same one.
Yeah,
Everyone's just running mad barriers.
which in ranked, when you're playing it in a more competitive way, does feel a bit cheese strat sort of thing. Which this happens with all games though. The first season of a ranked game is always a bit rough till it finds its groove.
Absolutely.
But yeah, overall it's been fun.
Love to see it. I will be back. My friends have been enjoying it. You guys have been enjoying it
yeah.
from what I can hear. So
And we played them.
yeah, you matched up against my IRLs in rank.
The chances of that is wild.
Do you know what was so funny? Because obviously we've played Valorant with Mike. So I killed him off rip on spawn. I was like, I've killed Evil Toast or Evil Toaster. I was like, wait, no, that was Evasive Toast. And I didn't even think anything of it until I saw your message. I was like, wait, oh my God.
You do recognise the name.
Yeah, I was like, that name felt familiar and I couldn't work out why. No, that was very, very funny.
Love it. Right, topic of the pod. I have incorporated with a new story that broke last week, I want to say.
Yeah.
So how much can Xbox raise the price of Game Pass before it becomes a problem? I'm going to pull from Antonio Pequeno at... Oh, I've lost my source. It was from Forbes. I just didn't write it down. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate monthly price will jump from $16.99 to $19.99. PC Game Pass will increase from $9.99 to $11.99. This is dollars, by the way. And a new tier called Xbox Game Pass Standard will be available to players in the near future at $14.99. Although this one will not include day one titles, which to me is a little bit strange.
I assume that is very much for people who are like just backlog gamers, and they're like, I never get to play anything on day one anyway, so I'll save myself $5 a month. Well, and I guess the real question is, how long after day one do you get access to it? Is it literally just you don't get day one? Because if you're only a day late, that's worth $5 for most people.
No, it'll be longer than that. It'll probably be like a month.
Like that's the question.
Yeah, I think I don't know, the standard one it doesn't feel like a huge price difference for the. I don't know why. Like, I get day one is quite a perk, but at the same time, it almost feels like I've seen the comment of, obviously with COD coming up and we know that's going to Game Pass. It's like, obviously they know more game. They're clearly going to have more and more games being day one on Game Pass.
Yeah,
I think the bigger strange thing really is, like, I'm not complaining because I'm on PC, but like we get it way cheaper than an Xbox person, and it's like I'm not even buying a freaking console.
So I've got Game Pass Ultimate because I have my Xbox still, which does get used. Not as often as I should, but that's going to be changing soon. But also, then prices aren't reflective to us, because in my head I was like, Jesus Christ, $20. I might have to reevaluate whether I'm going to keep getting that. But I've realised mine is actually only going from $12.99 to $14.99. So I'm like, 15 quid, actually, that's not too bad. So they're teetering on the edge of, does it make sense? What am I going to get for this additional money?
Yeah, I think the price hike was inevitable, and I'm surprised it actually took this long. I mean, think of how many games are coming day one that we've had within the last year or two, and still coming out. I think the quality of games, obviously, they got to make their money back somehow, realistically, haven't they?
Oh yeah, and like everyone has always said, like, it's a steal. Like, if you actually play
it's
all
the
the
best
games
value
that
in
come
gaming,
out,
without a doubt.
Yeah. What more surprised me is like, because isn't Game Pass Ultimate? You've got it because it's Xbox and PC, right?
Yes.
What baffles me is there isn't just an Xbox version option.
Yeah, so that I think that's a big amount of the complaint is, so I've got to get Game Pass Ultimate because they got rid of Xbox Live.
Yeah.
So Game Pass Ultimate now covers that like online feature as well, I think, which is why there's no. But yeah, for 15 quid, if I didn't have access to Starfield on my PC and any other Xbox games I wanted for my PC, I'd be livid. Because I'm like, what, I'm paying 15 quid a month for my Xbox, which I'm going to buy games I really want separately anyway.
But then we're getting this new tier.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Which
I feel
sounds like what you think it should be, or but no day one.
And
here's then there's a weird caveat to that as well.
They should make the new one the same price as PC.
But Xbox only.
Or it's like, if you want a not... They're obviously trying to hit like here's a cheaper option for people. Because that's what all the streaming services and everyone are trying to do. They're trying to give you a cheaper option. And in streaming it's ads they give you. And
so here's the thing with the prices. I don't like it, fuck corporations, but logically I see what they're doing here. They don't have control over any of the PC market realistically. So they've really got to sweeten the deal to get people to use them. Yeah. Which is why that's dirt cheap. So that people go, you know what? That's worth it.
I mean, it gets me in there. I don't have an Xbox and I pay monthly for Game Pass just for the day one titles,
But people who are already on an Xbox, they're inside the walled garden. And what's the chances? Because it's not like PlayStation's dirt cheap either. What are the chances that at $15 without day one or $20 overall that you're going to be like, fuck this, I'm going to go buy a PlayStation? Because even by selling your Xbox and buying a used PlayStation, you're probably going to be out 50 odd quid anyway, and then you still have to buy PlayStation's equivalent of it, which is like £10 a month or whatever anyway, £15 a month. So there's always a danger if too many Xbox gamers decide to do that, the PlayStation do the same thing and everyone just runs back to Xbox, and then you just get this flip-flopping
back
stuff.
And forth, yeah. It's just a £15 new one without day one titles is confusing me, because you would have thought they'd be bringing out a new one that would cater to the casuals because of COD coming out. A lot, like, we know loads of people that just play COD and FIFA every year. They're not like diverse gamers. So you would have thought they would try to lure them in with, but then because it appears to be the casual one, but then they won't be getting COD because it won't be day one. So it's just a strange one.
It's just really like, oh, so I can get day one on PC for less, but if I'm on Xbox, I can't. Yeah.
But also, does this not fuck with their branding a little bit? Because they called it Game Pass Standard, and that doesn't get day one titles. And at all of their like keynotes for the last 2 years, it's been play it day one with Game Pass.
Play it day one with Game Pass.
That branding is now useless because you're gonna get a mum with a
who doesn't read the fine print,
who's like, oh look, the Fable's coming out. I want to play Fable. Play it day one with Game Pass. You get the Game Pass Standard, and you can't play it day one.
They'll just go, yeah, but look here in the fine print, it says you need Game Pass.
I know, but you're gonna make enemies with that behaviour though, and that's really not what Xbox can afford to do.
Xbox has been making enemies for years. Don't worry.
I've just thought of a counterpoint as well to my argument I was making about sort of luring people in to get Game Pass for COD. I think the people that are going to be playing COD and FIFA would rather spend $70 flat out rather than paying the $19.99 each month. Yeah. Because they're not going to play the other games. So it'd just be a waste of time. I think they'd rather play the flat out fee and play it all year long.
Yes and no. Because I think some people, it's the age of thing. It's like, oh, I can play COD for... I think more people will get the Game Pass version because, let's be honest, COD players know COD's not always great. We always excited for the next one. We're like, yes, it's going to be different this time. And then 1-2 months in, they're like, this COD's rubbish.
I think that's because we're in that sphere. You got to think how many numbers COD sells. It's the biggest selling game in US and UK every year. I think we're in a minority. I think people that play COD every year are going to buy.
So a year of Game Pass Ultimate is 180 quid. A AAA game's what, 65 quid now, 70 quid?
65, 70 quid, yeah.
So all you've got to do is get 3 AAA games on day one that you want to play, and it probably makes more sense to go Game Pass, or at least equal sense to go Game Pass, as long as you know it's not like a game that's just going to disappear at a moment's notice, which is a whole different issue. But Game Pass has got a good record of not just like luring people in with a game and it disappearing really quickly. And with them owning more studios, like all of Bethesda's games are going to be on there forever. They're not going to pull their own game. The COD games will be on there.
CODs, yeah.
FIFA goes on in normally February each year. Madden goes on normally in about February each year. Which means you're going to get half a year of Madden, which if you're like me and in them games you don't do Ultimate Team, just do career mode, you're like, sweet, I'm never paying for that fucking game again. So it's still a good value proposition, but they are definitely at the point where if the amount of games and the range of games doesn't continue to improve a little bit, there are going to be some people who are like, I only played like 3 games this year and they were indie games that were 15 quid each. I could have saved myself money.
Yeah. It's just weird with the whole PC one being mixed in there for less.
Yeah. That is the big problem that they might
worry we're feasting.
Annoy
we are till they turn around and go,
actually, hang on a minute.
We're going to up this to $20. And I'll be like, right, bye, I'm back to Steam I go.
Which brings me on to my final point on this debate. How much is the maximum that you'd be willing to pay? Bearing in mind the amount of day one titles we get.
Is that assuming the amount of content and like the caliber of content we're currently getting is what it is? It doesn't improve, doesn't get worse.
Yep.
They could probably squeeze £1 or £2 more out of me.
Yeah.
Before it's a real discussion of, do I just cancel it when there's nothing I want to play and then re-up?
Binge it all in a month.
Yeah.
I think I probably could go, like, I would probably keep paying up to like $15 because that's what, 12 quid-ish.
Yeah.
I think because of like, knowing how much I play off Game Pass, if it goes, like, if it jumps at like, Game Pass Ultimate price or something, then I'm like, this isn't worth it anymore. Like, maybe I'll pay for a month, but
if it was to go up to like 18 quid a month and I don't see anything coming out for the next 18 months I want, I'm telling you right now, I'd buy Starfield game code dirt cheap for my PC. So, because that's the only game that I'm like regularly using on Game Pass at the minute. I spend a month binging the Game Pass games that I've got downloaded on my Xbox to get them all done, and then I cancel it until there's a game I want to play. And even then, if I don't see enough games, I might just revert to buying the games I want to play. They are right on that edge. Yeah, they're right on that edge. So at the minute, I sort of
build up my backlog a little bit, buy a month's of Game Pass, and then sort of smash out them games. Because for me, it was literally like you were both saying there. There's not enough games that hook me because I'd rather just play them on PlayStation, or they're already on PS Plus because I pay for PS Plus yearly. So it all depends on what comes out. You can have slow months, busy months. Like July, for example, there would have been absolutely nothing to play. So
yeah.
And finally, discussion of the pod. This is one that I carried over from our Discord discussion that we had yesterday or the day before, because I thought it was a really fun, interesting one. And it is, what is the best controller ever? So we was doing some like mini tier lists in our Discord chat. Obviously, there were some people making jokes, such as yourself. What do you genuinely think is 360. How many should we do? The best controller, and then like a top 5. Maybe.
360 it's not even close. There are other good controllers. The 360 is the greatest controller of all time for a number of reasons. The extra stiffness on the thumbsticks meant I had a 360 for what, 8-9 years. I got stick drift once in that entire time. I'm on my maybe 10th or 11th modern Xbox controller, so Xbox One through to Series X, because I get stick drift. It's insanity. The caliber has dropped off so much in that regard. The only problem was the rubber on the thumbsticks on them wasn't as durable, and it would wear away more from the oilier skins. But other than that, like, nothing compares.
Oh, yeah, 360 is by far the best. I mean, I had my current controller for my PC, if I ever need to use a controller, is a third-party Xbox 360 one that I'd got years ago, because my original Xbox 360, eventually the thumbsticks wore out. And even this one hasn't got stick drift, but the thumbstick is wearing out. They're just the comfiest and
the
easiest.
Shape. I don't think anything will ever fit in your controller as nicely as a 360 controller did. Just the thought of playing like FIFA 13, I had a lime green. I ordered like the shell off eBay, took it apart, put like pink thumbsticks on it, had some like mold, and it was just the best controller.
There's certain like older controllers for specific games. Like if I've ever played Smash Bros, even if it's on like Wii or any of the new Nintendo ones, I would always rather go back to a GameCube controller, or if I can, an N64. But generally, GameCube is like the most enjoyable. There's certain games where, at least in Nintendo's realm, the newer ones are, I wish they would go back to a proper controller sometimes. Like I get the Joy-Cons and the Wii, like, because of the way the system that they have, but I do miss.
So like, you can buy N64 controllers for the Switch. I believe they're like sold out. It was something that dropped last year or the year before. I don't think they've done a GameCube one. Someone will have to.
They did GameCube on Wii.
Third party one.
They did a GameCube one for Wii, and that sold like the same, sold out so fast because people are like, because it's to get a GameCube one now, like you have to buy like a pre-owned one. Obviously, then it's
on eBay. Yeah.
Who knows how long it's going to last?
Switch controllers annoy me because I'm on my second Switch. I I had the day one Switch. I've now got an OLED. I haven't had it myself because I don't actually really use my Switch that much unless like a big Pokemon game or something comes out. They are very, very prone to stick drift.
Yes.
I have got like 3 pairs of Joy-Cons, I think, so I can luckily rotate between them. But I can imagine kids who are using it a lot might go through a lot of Joy-Cons.
So my friends...
I don't know how we're not using Hall effect joysticks and everything in 2024.
They're
not that much more expensive.
Yeah,
anymore.
but it's got to be a cost for them. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I bought.
My friend has a Switch and four Joy-Cons, and I think 2 or 3 of them have stick drift.
Yeah, crazy. I bought this third-party Xbox controller, officially licensed one, that has Hall effect joysticks. Obviously, it has other areas. It's not quite as good, but this is the exact same price. And bearing in mind, I literally use this for sports games. As long as the buttons don't stop responding, this controller will hopefully last me fucking ages.
As long as you need it to, yeah.
The price for you will be the same. I bet the margin is less than what Xbox's margin is they gain off the.
Quite possibly, but I think a big problem with the quality of controllers getting worse is also they've gone from being 30 quid for a new controller to being 50 or 60 quid now. Yep. So, and that happened at the same time. It was like, oh, controllers are getting a bit shit now, and then they're like, extra £20, please. It's like, whoa.
How much is a set of Joy-Cons that you pay? Say you're a family, 55, 60 quid for a new set of Joy-Cons.
That is
if you want if you don't get if you don't get
especially so it's the Super Mario ones, 89 quid. I don't know if that's resale value or if they're special edition. But
I don't know
imagine
if there
kids
is.
and families having to go through.
Is there third-party ones that have the better?
Yes. Tim Geddes from Kind of Funny uses a brand whose name is escaping, but they've got the bumpers are sort of further down and there's less stick drift. The brand is escaping me, but apparently they are much better.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's an abundance.
Yeah, the same as.
And then obviously you got the whole Pro controller. I've never used a Scuff. I had an Xbox Elite controller, like the series, the first model, not the second one. I got that for Christmas years ago.
They were really cool.
I really like. It's probably the best because that was when I was playing COD on console. It was during World War II, and I loved that controller. The only gripe I had is that the grip on the back would peel away.
It was solid when it worked, but the problem is once it went 1%, it just disintegrated in days. By the time that my Xbox Elite was dying, one of the triggers didn't work at all, the face buttons weren't responsive regularly, and the stick drift was outrageous.
Yeah, I remember my stick drift. I can't remember if it was left or my right, because when I got my PC, I was using my Elite controller, and I was playing Rocket League, and my camera just straight down every time I got into a lobby.
Yeah, it cannot run.
I'll tell you what my actual best controller is. It's the mouse and keyboard.
Mouse and keyboard. Oh, is that a controller? It's so situational for games because think of Minecraft, so much better on keyboard and mouse.
Oh yeah.
FPS. Very split. I'm not going to comment on that.
The only games that I find easier on a controller is sport games.
Any sport game is not even playable on keyboard and mouse, in my opinion.
And I would say, obviously, driving games for sure, but obviously, then I'd rather have a wheel than a controller. Then it's some story games that are clearly games that are very much the way they've been made is for a console, but they've been ported to PC. Sometimes it is better to just play them on a controller because the way they are set up just works better.
A lot of story games say that I get on PC that are on Game Pass, for example, like Guardians. I was originally going to play that on Game Pass, but I would have still plugged my controller. GTA, again, on PC, I plugged my controller.
Oh, I played keyboard mouse GTA.
So it's just situational, isn't it?
Yeah. I tend to lean towards controller because I was a controller gamer just for so long. But yeah, some games are just better with keyboard and mouse, and some games if you try, like you said, sports games. If I see anyone trying to load up FIFA
on a keyboard
mouse and keyboard, yeah, you need shooting.
I've tried it once because I play FC24 on PC. It'd be when your controller disconnects, it reverts you to keyboard and mouse. I still to this day, it's happened so many times, and I still don't know buttons. I could not tell you what it just makes zero sense to me. But if I was a nostalgia merchant, I'd probably say 360 is my favorite. I think 360 is my favorite. I think DualSense is the best. I don't think I've used a controller that is better than the PS5 controller. I've got 3. So I got a PS5 on day 1. One of the bumpers. No, one of the right trigger has gone. Do you remember when we were playing Helldivers? Like a spring just fell out the back.
Oh yeah.
The haptics were so strong on the shooting of Helldivers, it broke. But I had like 4 years of solid use.
I just like the DualSense 5. My issue with PlayStation controllers, is probably from being an Xbox game for so long, is how like sharp this angle is. Doesn't sit as nicely in my hand as something that's molded more like an Xbox shape.
I also don't like the PlayStation bumpers and triggers. I prefer Xboxes. So,
again, I think something that's going to influence. It's just what you're used to at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was an Xbox kid, so it's like any time I pick up a PlayStation controller, I'm like, this feels weird. I don't like this.
Because I went from PS1 to PS2 to PS3, and then 360, Xbox One. Skipped PS4, but still had one in like the living room that was like a family one. And the PS4 is the worst controller for anyone. PS4 controllers are absolutely terrible. They don't feel nice. They're really light and they don't feel sturdy. Just the shape of them's horrible. I'd prefer a PS3 controller. Absolutely terrible. I'm trying to think what other controllers like N64. Like you say, I'll tell you what's a bad controller: the Switch Pro controller.
Yeah. Oh no, boys, you're forgetting the most famous terrible controller. The Steam controller they released fucking years ago.
I think he was going to say the Logitech one where the submarine.
Do you know what I thought you were going to say? The Mad Catz like third-party ones where they've got all the extra buttons and shit on them.
The Stream controller that had like the touchpad instead of the analog stick on the right-hand side.
Let me have a look at this.
So, I actually know that's a lie. I've used it once when I was in uni. For a certain very specific situations that actually felt fine, but for like 90% of games, it was horrible to use.
It felt like a menu controller. It felt like a controller literally just designed for menus.
Can you still buy it? Is it still for sale?
Well, I think you can. I think you can.
It was meant for... because it was around the time they launched Steam Big Picture Mode, which was like for when you have Steam on your TV. So it was meant to be so you could do menus and stuff a lot easier. It's one of those where it's like, it's for a very niche situation. Because
I don't know who thought the trackpad instead of the analog stick on the right-hand side was the way to go, though.
And then I think
it was a bad decision.
The final controller I'm going to discuss doesn't get the love it deserves. The Wiimote. It is just Wiimote and nunchuck combo. Mario and Sonic.
Best way to do Mario Kart. People were like, "No, I want the wheel." I'm like, "No, give me the nunchuck. I want joystick. It's so much better."
It just felt like cheating, though, didn't it? Yeah, it was so accurate in comparison. But I just think
the Wiimotes were fun.
I think the Wii, where it was so new, it was so exciting to have motion controls. You had it like briefly in the PS3, like sort of you could go left and right. Playing like racing games, but the Wii was a whole new.
Yeah. Then you got the Kinect.
Yeah, Kinect, iToy. They're all technically controllers, I suppose, aren't they?
Some crazy ones are out there. But I think that's all we've got time for this week, Josh.
Indeed,
Thanks as always for dropping in with us and hanging out. And we'll see you back in a month. And now that we're done with the gaming news from our good friend Josh, let's move on to the Emmy nominations.
Ooh.
Big Emmy nominations. Of course, the Emmys isn't for like a few months still. I think it's like early in the year normally.
I think so. It's still a while off.
So this isn't for like the Bear Season 3. This is the Bear Season 2 stuff.
Yes.
So that's like the period of time we're looking at here.
Yeah.
So, I'm only going to talk about stuff that's relevant to stuff we've spoken about in the podcast. And then we'll go through them. So, Fallout got a few nominations.
Yep.
It got a few nominations in other categories as well, but these are the main categories that get spoken about the most.
Yeah.
So, it got nominated for Best Drama Series.
Okay.
It got nominated for Best Drama Writing in an Episode for The End.
Okay.
And it got and there was a nomination for Best Lead Actor in a Drama for Walter Goggins.
Okay.
I think Ella Perel, who
Mm.
played the Vault Girl, I forget her name.
Yeah, I forget her name as well.
Might have got a bit of a snub here, but I didn't watch many of the other shows. I don't know if it was like a really strong year for the actresses in leads.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, also, Walter Goggins had to go through all the
makeup
and stuff as well, which is like a respected thing.
Yeah, and he did.
Oh yeah, he did a great
The Bear absolutely cleaned up nominations.
Yes, it did.
Once again, there are other things it was nominated for. I think it finished like 23 nominations in total or something crazy. This is only like 14 of their nominations, but these are all in what are considered the major categories as well, which is a really high percentage.
Yeah.
So best comedy series.
Yeah.
Best directing, it got 2 nominations. So these are individual episodes, so it got 2 nominations here. It got nominated for Fishes, which is Kristen Storer.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Honeydew, which was Rami Youssef.
I don't know which one. Oh, is Honeydew the one where Marcus goes to Denmark?
Honeydew? Yes.
That, understandable. Great episode.
Then it got nominated once in the writing category. Again, for Fishes.
Yeah.
Which is Christopher Storer and Joanne Callow.
Great episode.
Lead actor in a comedy series when Jeremy Allen White's been nominated.
Understandable.
Lead actress in a comedy series, Ayu Edebiri. I think I've mispronounced that. I do apologise. Has also been nominated once again. Phenomenal. Supporting actor in a comedy, 2 nominations again. One for Lionel Boyce and one for Ebon Moss-Bacharach.
Yeah.
Supporting actress in a comedy, 1 nomination for Liza Colon-Zayas. Then we've got guest actor in a comedy, 3 nominations.
Okay.
John Bernthal, Bob Odenkirk, and Will Poulter.
Yeah.
And then guest actresses in a comedy, Olivia Colman and Jamie Lee Curtis.
It's just...
And all of these nominations make Fishes one of the most nominated episodes in Emmy history.
That does not surprise me because that episode was stacked with people.
The directing nomination, the writing nomination, and then 1, 2, 3 of the guest nominations are in that, as well as all of the main characters being in that.
Yeah. I mean, basically the whole cast has been nominated at this point.
Yes. I'm going to show my bias a little bit here. Olivia Colman should win the guest actress in a comedy series. I would always shill for her.
Will Poulter.
Will Poulter's got a good shout.
Obviously, I don't know who else is in that one from other series, but like, out of those ones from The Bear, I think Will Poulter's episode. Don't get me wrong, John Bernthal was great.
I think Bob Odenkirk's got a really good shout.
True, he is also like
he was a huge part of the Fishes episode, which is going to clean up awards.
Honestly, it's like wild how much this show's got awarded.
X-Men 97 got a nomination. Best animated program for the episode Remember It. Okay. Which is, of course, the episode on Krakoa where everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Invincible got its first Emmy nomination.
Oh.
For character voiceover for Sterling K. Brown as Angstrom Levy.
Okay.
Which I think is a solid nomination. He did absolutely fry. And then also not in the major categories. And I say major because they're the ones that are easily found by people writing articles. I had to go to the Emmy website to find the rest of these.
Right.
So Ahsoka received 5 nominations.
Yeah, I saw some.
Costume, hair, prosthetics, sound, and VFX. And Loki received 3 nominations: costume, sound, and VFX.
I mean,
Marvel and Disney products are always competing in these categories.
Yeah.
It's not a massive shock. The big talking point.
Mm.
Was Game Changer robbed of a nomination in the game show category?
Now, for those that may be listening and don't have a clue what Game Changer is, because there are plenty of people that probably don't, you may know of College Humor on YouTube. You may know that they rebranded
College Humor.
Former College Humor. You may know that they rebranded as Dropout and they have their own streaming service called Dropout. One of the most value for money streaming services I think we can both agree on. Their shows,
me and my partner
incredible.
Spent the 45 quid on it for a year. We've had it not even 2 months, and we're both like, this is some of the best money we've spent.
It's great. Everything they produce is great. I highly recommend it. One of their shows is Game Changers. It's like a game show. Every episode is a different premise. Hilarious. Some incredible, like, concepts and different games. Like, some really great moments. And for a game show, hell yeah, that should have been nominated. Like, I'm pretty sure all of them are part of, like, the SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
Like, it's a well-established production company. Like,
so, would you like to hear what the 5 nominations for Outstanding Game Show were?
Go on.
Celebrity Family Feud, Jeopardy, Password, The Price is Right, and Wheel of Fortune. Now, call me crazy, all of these shows only have one premise.
Do you know what's also funny? Pretty sure Game Changers has done very similar in different episodes for a lot of those.
Here's the thing. Am I surprised they didn't get nominated? No. Because modern media always hates new media, whatever form that ends up being. Just like radio hated CDs for a long time and so on and so forth. But if there is going to be an online medium that is not owned by one of the big companies that manages to break down that barrier, Dropout's got the best chance right now.
Oh yeah, I think unfortunately for the terms of the Emmys, like Dropout is still relatively small. Like it's easy. I've been watching Dropout stuff since like during like maybe end slope of COVID. It's kind of when I discovered it and started watching stuff. It's easy to forget, and even I forget. Literally up until like the end of COVID, stuff on Dropout was still getting released on YouTube just later. So like the concept of this platform was still very new, and it's only in the past 2 or 3, like couple of years really, that it's kind of had its like spike. It's relatively new. Another year or 2, I think we start to see it get up there for the game shows. Maybe now that they're starting to release specials, you never know, maybe one of their specials does really well and ends up there. I think they will get their spotlight eventually. I think it's just we'll need a little time.
Should we start putting on our own award show? Well, it'll start small, and then when people watch it and hate it so much because it's just us two making the decisions, we'll then have enough resources to get people to come in and help us make the decisions. But we will still, if someone just wants to give it something that we don't like, just go, no. And I'll tell you right now, The Bear will not be competing in comedy.
Just world's best is the category.
Yes. We will have categories that make sense.
Something that I personally feel maybe should have got something for animated is Vox Machina's series. I don't know if they maybe are outside the range, because I don't think they had. Did they? No, they had a season last year.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on there.
I suppose it depends on when like the cut-offs for things are and how old something can be. But like Vox Machina is like a great animated thing, and the fact that Invincible's up there, like they're obviously paying attention to stuff from Prime, so it's like
let me pull up the list quickly and make sure that I didn't miss that, because it is possible.
At least for like voiceover or voice acting category.
No, nothing. Let me see. Let me just search Amazon. I'll see all their nominations.
Something. I don't know if you have the answer on the top of your head. Is there a...
Sorry, the fantasy and sci-fi costumes. So they wouldn't be competing in that.
No.
Directing for a comedy. Limited or anthology. There was nothing animated in that. Let me just search animated and see what else it was competing up against. Because we might see what else it was competing with and go, you know what, that's fair enough. So Blue Eye Samurai.
That's
Bob's
meant to be really good.
Burgers.
That people love that.
Bob's Burgers is always winning, yeah. Scavenger's Reign, I don't know too much about. Oh, it's a HBO Max thing. And these are individual episodes as well.
Scavenger's Reign, I've heard very good things about.
The Simpsons, and then X-Men 97, Remember It. And that's like the only animated first award. Okay. Is there any voice acting ones? There's no awards for voice acting.
What about the character voiceover from Invincible?
Oh yeah.
So there must be some sort. Maybe it's just called character voiceover instead of voice acting.
Yeah, one sec.
But the Blue Samurai, whatever, and the Scavenger's Reign are two animated things I've heard good things about, so that makes sense that they're on there.
So these are also an actor in an episode.
Oh, okay.
So it's outstanding character voiceover performance. So you got The Simpsons, for Cremains of the Day, Hank as Mo, Family Guy, Teacher's Heavy Pet for the actress who plays Lois, Alex Bornstein, Sterling K. Brown in I Thought You Were Stronger, Invincible, which that nomination makes even more sense when it's episode specific.
Right.
You've got one for Big Mouth, and then Cropopolis, which is for Hannah Waddington. I love Hannah Waddington, so I'm never going to say that she doesn't deserve a nomination. So yeah, I like, bearing in mind a lot of the animated ones seem to be focused on episodes. I see how Vox Machina might have fallen through the cracks.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
There isn't a stunt category yet, is there?
Not for the Emmys, I don't believe, no.
Should be. Especially for things like Ahsoka and stuff, where there's some great choreography.
Absolutely. But yeah, that is it from the Emmys nominations. Yeah. Let us know who you thought got snubbed. And Sam Reich, if you're watching this, we would love to come and do an episode of Game Changers.
Oh, please. Please.
I saw someone say eventually they're going to win an Emmy. Sam Reich is going to go up there and go, "Hi, we've been here the whole time."
Yeah. I'm Sam Reich, and I've been here the whole time.
Yeah,
you just didn't pay attention to us.
Yeah, which made me laugh really hard when I saw that.
Yeah, that's really good.
I made that joke on Twitter. Let's get into some nerdy news.
Yes, let's.
Captain America trailer. It was supposed to be here last Thursday. It came out Friday.
We were like constantly watching to see if it came out while we were recording. It didn't.
It's a solid trailer. It gave me such not Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It gave me such Captain America Winter Soldier vibes.
It really did, and it's like it felt like a solid Captain America film again. Just that vibe. It really did, and I think obviously it's hard to tell through a trailer, but the tone that they were like trying to get across with what Sam is gonna have to compete with being Captain America, and this constant like comparison to old Captain America. Like we can see where the tone of this film is going to be going. Then also the Red Hulk little tease at the end, very fucking cool.
I like the colour they went for.
Oh,
I know that sounds crazy, but that red was the right red.
The way they handled the Thunderbolt Ross little like jokey sort of like, oh, I nearly didn't
about the new look.
New look. It's like, well, the wife wanted me to get rid of my mustache. It's like such a good way to kind of just address it, but also make a bit of it like just we don't need to look at this too hard. It is what it is.
Yeah, it happens. Marvel have handled recastings better than basically anyone in history.
To be fair.
Yeah, I'm excited for the trailer. Lots of things to be excited about in there. I've got a good feeling for it. I feel like it was a solid trailer in the sense of they didn't give too much away. The Sam suit, how fast he was flying. Yeah, with the look wings. Of like maybe that new vibranium-esque metal that they seem to be using in like his wings. It looks like they kind of went, right, how do we make Sam as fucking nuts as Steve Rogers without having super soldier serum? And they might have cooked.
I'm pretty sure as well there's a clip of, like in there when he's like flying through the clouds, you see another person, which has got to be the guy that took the Falcon suit to repair. So
well,
he's
we saw them walking around underneath like a sewer or something together. And he is in the comics the Legacy Falcon.
Yes.
So I assume he is going to become Falcon in this.
I think we're going to get him like to get full suit up in
which
this,
is
which
going
will
to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be very cool.
Yes, for sure. We got a new Deadpool Wolverine trailer,
a little extended one,
and the big thing is we got a reaction to the 40 minutes of footage that was shown at a couple of events.
They did a red carpet thing.
Yes, I can't remember exactly what it was for or where it was or whatever, but they showed like 40 minutes of footage to people.
They did a red and yellow carpet event.
Yeah.
As they called it.
And one thing I saw, which I sent to Horry in a very, very excited fit, I almost phrased my message to Horry like an email, I've just realised. And it was, this tweet was someone who was allowed to go see it. As someone who was hating on this film before its release, I just have to say, this absolutely fucking ruled. My God, I was there grinning the entire time. I wish I could have watched the full thing. I never wanted it to end. That is the sentiment I've got from everything I've seen it. Now, if it was people who were already being really positive about it, you still got to take it with a pinch of salt because they were already excited. People having their minds changed in 2024 is not something you see often.
No, it's not. I think
I'm still convinced, although it feels like we've seen a lot in the trailers, that they've barely shown us anything.
Oh,
I'm convinced.
100%. And the fact that they've only shown these guys a 40-minute thing clearly shows that they're keeping a lot of the reveal. I think those people probably got to see the first like major reveal or something, but they won't have got anything like the full thing.
Absolutely.
But the extended trailer showed us our first look at Mrs. Deadpool.
Yes.
Or Lady Deadpool, sorry.
And Sheriff Deadpool.
And Sheriff Deadpool.
Have you heard the rumours of who's playing Sheriff Deadpool that have come out later this week?
No, I haven't.
I love this casting if it's true. Matthew McConaughey.
That would be very cool.
It would be very cool.
That would be great. Are we presuming it's
Blake Lively?
Yeah.
That is the assumption. The only other thing I've seen that I want more than that is Ryan Reynolds just wearing a blonde wig.
With like a prosthetic.
Yes, yeah.
Setup. Yeah, I think that would be hilarious.
Exactly. But yeah, that all looks good. That's very exciting. I'm so excited for the film. We're going to go. Me and Jenna are going to Cardiff next Saturday. Which I'm very excited for our 10-year anniversary. Crazy. So on Friday night before we go, we're going to go to the cinema to watch Deadpool and Wolverine. So that I don't have to worry about spoilers over the weekend or anything.
That's valid.
So that I'm very excited for.
Yeah, I think this film's going to have us way back on track with Marvel.
More exciting news. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem, the animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle film we got last year?
6 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, whenever it was. Which we loved. We thought was amazing. The style was fresh, the story was great, so much fun. The sequel has now been fully storyboarded and it's making really solid progress.
I love it.
They teased that it's already got a title, but they can't give it away because that might spoil a bit too much, which is kind of hype. I imagine it's got something to do with Shredder in the title.
I mean, we got the reveal at the end that he's there, so it's got to be.
Now, this news is a bit controversial, which is interesting.
Yeah. So
Joe and Anthony Russo are back at Marvel, apparently directing the next 2 Avengers movies, according to the Hollywood Reporter. And in the article that Deadline put out, they also claimed that isn't all they've been brought back to do, and they're going to have other.
Yeah, so there's like other headlines saying that they're in discussion or at the table discussing with Marvel about the Avengers films and other future projects.
Yeah. Based on the scattering of articles, my best guess is they are locked in for the 2 Avengers films. And the negotiations are about these further responsibilities. A lot of people are misunderstanding what's happened in this process, though. Because a lot of people have said, well, why are they coming back now? Is it because they've had a couple of flops? And actually, they said straight away we'd happily come back and do more. And Marvel were like, we're going to have a look at some other directors and see what we think.
Yeah.
And then they've gone, there's no one else that really we want to work with or makes sense or wants to work with us. Do you guys still want to do it? And they've gone, yeah, absolutely. End of the day, Joe and Anthony Russo have not missed full Marvel.
No, they haven't. See, this is what
we do need to prepare for a load of people all of a sudden coming out of the woodwork and claiming they never liked any of the Russo brothers films.
Yeah, we are.
It's going to happen.
It's going to be it's a combination probably for Kevin that they were looking, like you said, they said they wanted to look at other options because at that time Marvel was originally trying to like diversify directors a bit. I think probably a combination of issues with the Blade director and issues with other things like having to do with a bit of the Daredevil rework and stuff. Kevin's kind of gone, and now this idea that we are expecting that we're getting a soft reboot now and a bit of a new direction with the fact that Avengers 5 is no longer being named Kang Dynasty and all that mess.
Or it might still be. I think we need to wait till San Diego Comic-Con's done
I agree.
to know for sure.
I agree. But like this rumor that's kind of floating around, Kevin maybe then going, I think what we need to get back on track is a bit of stability that he knows he can trust and is like solid choices, and going back to the Russo brothers. And like you say, they haven't missed for Marvel. All the Marvel films they have done, I mean, two of the best ones had multiple heroes, had to manage those multiple heroes on screen and give like a very impactful plot. Like they know what they're doing with like the Avengers films. So to trust them with Avengers 5 and Secret Wars, I think is a very solid choice.
I do think it's important for them to Avengers films to be the same director.
Yes.
The only other director I'd trust to direct both of them is Sam Raimi. And he's doing Doctor Strange 3, potentially on Midnight Suns, and who knows, he might get asked to take over Blade as well.
Yeah.
And Sam Raimi works much better in a kind of creepy horror sphere. So when you've got them projects there, let him focus on them.
Well, and also
I agree
like
with the soft reboot coming up. It makes more sense to go Russo's, finish this era of the Marvel so it feels consistent.
Yeah.
And then we can go back to trying some fun stuff or some different stuff. I shouldn't say it's not fun because the Russo brothers will make it fun.
Even if it's like they realize that, okay, we'll keep the Russo brothers doing the Avengers stuff and that stuff because then it all like that main storyline moving through feels the same. And now they've got the Marvel spotlight and all this other stuff. They can have fun in those places.
Exactly.
I think it's a good thing. We'll wait, like you say, we wait and see for San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah. It'd be pretty cool if like they come out on stage and they announce the title for Avengers 5 or something.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they're a good decision, but I'm confident they're not a bad decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think at worst they'll be average and they won't make a film worse just by being there, which some directors definitely could do, unfortunately.
Agreed.
This is a fun one from the In Schneider. Robert Downey Jr. is rumoured to return to the MCU as a Tony Stark variant who's become Doom.
Now, I want to question, has this come out after the whole Russo brothers stuff?
Around the same time.
Does it not feel a bit like people are like, oh, we know RDJ has talked about he'd love to come back. Russo brothers come back. They worked with, like, maybe we can kind of spin this rumor that this is all happening.
Yeah. The In Schneider's pretty good for not reporting stuff that doesn't have like some decent weight to it. He's been pretty spot on with stuff. Again, this is an idea that's being thrown about. It might have been ditched, and it's just like that part of the news hasn't made it out. For a cameo, this would be cool. I just don't know how you make it make sense in a bigger film. But I think it would be fucking awesome.
Do you know what could, like, if they wanted to do this, and I think, like you say, it being like a cameo or maybe like a Doctor Strange situation where we got like a variant of characters, you could have it knowing that the Fantastic Four is in an alternate universe, timeline, however you want to word it. And we're presuming that they're going to end up somehow connected to the main one. What if it is in their world, Doctor Doom is already about and is Tony Stark, but then when they move over to the main timeline, we get a new actual Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Do it that way.
It's completely possible. I'm really curious to see if there's any water in this theory and how it goes from there. Stunning news. Fallout Season 2 is ahead of schedule.
Yes, I saw this today.
There's still no launch day, but apparently a Amazon executive has said a number of the scripts have already been turned in, which is... We love to hear about a show going so smoothly that it's ahead of schedule.
Oh, you know for a fact that like it cooked so well and it was received so well. All the writers were like, "Oh, I'm feeling it. Let's get into and they've just smashed it out."
Yeah, that's really exciting. If they haven't just like magicked up one good season, and they are actually just cooking, it's so nice to see that we're getting some movement. And even more good news. It's been a really good week of news.
It has.
In an interview with FX boss John Landgraf for Variety, he said that The Bear Season 4 is eyeing a summer 2025 release.
Which is very positive.
I want it now.
We want it now, but considering at one point... So originally it was meant to be filmed straight after Season 3, so they were expecting it to be pretty quick turnaround. And then it was like, oh, yeah, they haven't managed to do that. So everyone was kind of like, okay, we're going to have to wait a while again. For them to be like, no, the hope is it's still coming summer, I think is really good. I'm fine with it being like a year between seasons. Sure, would I love it in 6 months' time? Yes. But if they need a year to cook up another season as good as Season 3, I'm okay with that.
Well, even if it comes out summer 2025, I'm pretty sure that's 4 seasons in just less than 3 years.
Yeah, it's pretty fast.
Which is unheard of in the modern day.
Also, like, I think it was when we discussed Season 3, we said we're worried. Hopefully they don't try and turn it into more than just this story.
Mm-hmm.
They have said, like, they don't have, like, they're not making this show as in a, how many seasons is this show? They have said, like, we are writing a story. When the story's done, it's done. Like, there is no, we will do as many seasons it needs to tell this story that's going on. Yeah. They won't do it for, which I think is really good. I'm glad that they're not going to try and spin it into this bigger thing than it needs to be, just because it's being successful.
Okay, I agree. But that is it from the news this week. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already.
Yes.
We'll be back next week with our preview for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
And some other fun things. Weekly shows are done for a little while now.
Yeah, we are. We've got a little break, a little breather.
We do. So if there's any fun topics you want us to discuss or argue about, we don't really argue. We can argue if you want. Let us know and we'll try and get round to them. Thank you as always for hanging out and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, see you next week.